Ahoy, landlubbers! It's me, your Captain Vasco speaking, and welcome to another Friday night here in my apartment, where I won't live like too much longer, which is nice because it does suck here. I don't know if you've heard me mention this before. It's not like a great place to live. I mean, the area I live in is nice enough for something that's relatively affordable in California, but I think I've talked a little bit about how like it's definitely not nice enough that like when it gets dark out I'm like I could not go out and just stay here, and that's probably wise. But more than that, there's the concerns that my landlady is a psychopath and that the air conditioning is insufficient for a state where during the summer it can hit triple digit temperatures and spends a considerable portion of the average year in upwards of 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And when that happens, at best, I can have the general temperature of the apartment be about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And in case you live a place that doesn't get warm at all, you don't want to spend like 2/3 of your year living in an ambient temperature of 80 degrees. It sucks real bad. Okay, says, just an update to remind all you viewers. If there is trouble, just call DW. I think in the lyrics, when there's trouble, you call DW. I know this only because I myself am a psychopath and a fan of 90s animated cartoons. Appreciated nonetheless, especially since I'm not even wearing my one Darkwing Duck shirt that I own, that I like. That is too big for it because I've been losing weight. Humble brag. But I still wear it, don't get me wrong. Incidentally, on the subject of 90s animation, if you all didn't already watch X-Men 97, do it. It's really good. I mean, like, I went back and watched all of the original X-Men series before, like, watching 97, not that long ago, and it's, like, pretty good. There are things about it that are better than I would expect and hold up better than I would expect, and then there's, like, a bunch of 90s cartoon stuff. But, like, on the whole, I think it does, like, a pretty good job of being, like, stories about the X-Men. But, like, now that we live in an age of, like, prestige television and whatever, or at least with a history of prestige television existing, the current era is a little bit of a cluster jumble, as it were. But, like, they've drawn on that to make some really cool stuff that, like, they wouldn't have been able to make back in the day, and it's really good. It did Storm dirty. I mean, I don't know. This is one of those things I'm not sure I'm entirely equipped to weigh in on because I've seen like a ton of like hardcore comics discourse since 97 came out where it's like, I don't know, in the context of what my experience is just watching the show as presented, this seems reasonable. And people are like, well, actually, the comics did XYZ, and I think that's subjectively better. Like, people were super mad about Sunspot being like Hispanic and not black, and I'm like, I don't think I'm equipped to weigh in on that. I feel like the portrayal of him is consistent and makes sense in the show, but I don't know why they changed it or the significance. I don't know. That's not for me to say. But like, yeah, I mean, I was disappointed with the direction they took Storm early. I'm glad that they sort of rectified that somewhat without spoiling things for people who haven't watched it. I will say that like some people were mad that she like didn't do more in the big battle at the end of the season, but like that's really completely consistent with how that character was handled in the 90s cartoons. So like, I don't know, man. Again, like in context, like it's not great, but it's fine. Yeah, I like the Brazilian guy. Like, even though he's like kind of a wet blanket, like I feel like they did kind of a good job of making him be like, yeah, he's a guy who like doesn't want to deal with this crap and definitely has to deal with it. Also, hi Sarah and Arcadius, and did I see another name pop up? Nah, just ranting, getting distracted. I could have made him white, and that would really piss people off. I mean, so like my understanding, and again, I'm not trying to comment on the validity of any of this because I don't really know the character of Sunspot all that well, other than the fact that he's in Marvel Strike Force and he's part of one of the most busted teams for sure. I think originally he had like mixed heritage, had like one black parent and one white parent, and like now he's like white and Brazilian, and like people are like super mad about that, and like, yeah, I mean, they could have made him all white. That seems like that would really be incongruous with what little I understand of the character. But like, they could have done it. We live in a weird time period. Jubilee episode with Motendo. That was like probably my pick for like least good episode of the season. I appreciated all of the era references made by it, but as its own story, it really sure felt like a filler episode in a 10 episode season. It's not to say it was bad, just like, I mean, I was never a fan of Mojo. I get Mojo as a character, but like, I don't know what's going on over there. Yeah, they had like maybe like 2 or 3 total episodes with Mojo in the original series, and like they always had cool ideas, but I kind of just hate Mojo. Oh, one of those episodes had one of my favorite lines of dialogue from maybe the entire original run of the X-Men cartoon from the 90s. Because like Mojo's whole thing is basically like reality TV before reality TV. He would like intergalactically capture people and make them do like quasi gladiator stuff to the death for ratings. And at the end of one of them, like the X-Men sort of foil his plans, and then like the whole operation's in shambles, and like two of the people working for him like walk off like into the sunset more or less. And one of them says to the other like, "I ever tell you about the time I dated an actress with 2 heads?" And the other person says, "Was she nice?" And he says, "Yes and no." Which is just subtle and stupid enough to be right in the sweet spot of, I will continue to remember that line of dialogue. You get it? Because one of the heads is nice and one of them's not. So she is both nice and not yes and no. It's very stupid. Very stupid joke. Marvel Strike Force needs a balance patch. Probably. Certainly, the Uncanny X-Men are vastly overpowered. But, like, I don't know. It's always a slippery slope. Jubilee needed to have more action. That is fair. She didn't really contribute a lot to the major storyline, so it did give her something to do to set her up for to end, which I think is really more setup. You say Mojo, I hear Mojo Jojo. I remember not that long ago seeing like I think it was supposedly an actual leaked page from the ill-fated and like now declined CW live action reboot of the Powerpuff Girls. And when you put those words together, I feel like any sensible person knows that's wrong. That's just not the right way to handle any of that. But like if I remember correctly, it was supposed to be a page from like a pilot episode for that awful sounding reboot, and it just sort of like casually had like Blossom like kill Mojo Jojo off screen. I'm like, you all need to be, there needs to be a restraining order between you and the intellectual property you are supposedly writing for, because that's just, I can't tell you how wrong that is. It wasn't even, to my knowledge, trying to be like a gritty reboot, but they just like casually had that stuff happen off screen. It's like, nope, absolutely nope. CW got sold and is now a reality TV channel and golf. Yeah, I mean, it's been a minute since I've heard of them even remotely attempting to do anything that's air quotes real television, that's for sure. I will say this without any sense of shame or irony. One of the last shows I did know them to produce was something called Legacies, which is like a Vampire Diaries spin-off. And I've watched like a decent amount, not like a ton, but like a decent amount of Vampire Diaries, and that's just hot garbage. And I unironically still find that Legacy is a spin-off show that's like Vampire Diaries meets like Harry Potter. I actually genuinely like that show. I still haven't watched the last season, but like the first 3 seasons, I was consistently like, not every episode is great, but it's like legitimately a lot of fun, and they don't make TV like that anymore, and I was really enjoying it. Yeah, I mean, the DC stuff sort of reached a conclusion, though. Maybe not a satisfying one, but when like my family and I couldn't be bothered to keep up with Flash anymore, like that was a pretty bad sign for where the DC stuff had ended up. Because we really, really liked Flash and watched it like together regularly for a long time, many years. And the quality of the writing declined very, 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 very much. Very, very much. Is Stargirl still going? I watched a little bit of that. That seemed better than I expected, but I didn't keep up with it. Ever see the promo stuff for the live-action Powerpuff Girls? Only like photos. I don't know of anything they ever like shot or whatever. Yeah, Cartoon Network. I don't know what Cartoon Network does anymore. At least it's not golf, I guess. Anyway, it's been like another like 10 minutes. I presume this is what you want since you all are continuing to talk about this stuff. But like, yeah, maybe let's talk about Harold Halibut so we play it at some point. Listen, nothing happens in Harold Halibut, so we can keep talking. It's fine. So Harold Halibut, 2 weeks ago, because last week was Mother's Day and I spent the weekend with my parents in observance of such. Harold Halibut is a stop-motion animated walking simulator narrative game. What does that mean? There are not a lot of game mechanics, but I electrocuted myself that one time and managed not to break my hand skiing inside of that store inside of the Fedora 2, a spaceship that the Earth sent out when it seemed like the environment was going to implode on itself. And it traveled some distance through outer space and crash landed underwater on an alien planet for reasons I don't know if we've fully been told. I was trying to think of that today. I mean, I think like we came to this planet, and I don't know if this planet was where we were like supposed to go or if we just ended up here. I think like once we got here in the Fedora 2, which now that I'm thinking about it, probably like the absolute vaguest of references to Lost in Space and the Jupiter 2. But like I think there was basically like weird cosmic weather phenomenon that meant that the ship would either be destroyed or we would go underwater. So we've been living underwater for like, I forget how long it's supposed to have been. Like a long time. I think at least like a generation of people were like born while this ship was like underwater on an alien planet. And we have enough technology that we've managed to like harness stuff from the aquatic environment to like have power for the ship, and I think to like some extent harness food from there, and things of that nature. It's not addressed in incredible detail, but just enough to alleviate your immediate concerns of how they do be living. But yeah, despite the science fiction premise of both the game at large and of any trailer I've ever seen for it, you play as Harold Halibut. You're some guy. You are like a dude who does menial labor for a scientist, which means you go around like delivering a lot of messages in person on a ship that has like enough technology to have like phones and intercoms and stuff. And you like kind of just like, you're like a gopher. You go and like pick up stuff, bring it back to her. Your job and life kind of suck as Harold Halibut. And also, as Harold Halibut, you have no spine. And that's not just because you're a claymation man made out of clay. It's because your character has no will of his own. He just sort of does what people tell him. But yeah, like, in terms of the actual plot, some of it is the context of being in the spaceship and going into space and crashing on a weird planet. But there have been recent developments, which occurred during our last stream segment, which are that a buoy was launched from the ship to really conspicuously to try and like suddenly pick up signals from outer space. We decide to send a buoy, and then like almost instantly seem to get a transmission from Earth being like, hey, everybody on the Fedora 2, Earth made it out okay, so if you ever want to swing by the neighborhood, we'll be glad to have you back on Earth or whatever. Meanwhile, Harold's boss, Dr. Moreau, but like spelled different or something, or maybe it's pronounced slightly different, but like Dr. Moreau, she's like, Harold, I need you to go like talk to people for a long time until you get a space rock, and then we'll look real close at it. And to save you just like a great deal of recap, we did that. And then when we looked at it, there were some yellow lines, and she's like, these yellow lines mean that we have a scant 89 days to try and escape the orbit of this planet before the weird cosmic space stuff destroys us or something. Or like we're stuck underwater forever or something. And the only like major thing of importance, I think, is that like there's some subplot where like despite the fact that we're like on like some kind of colony ship from Earth, it's run by the CEO of a company that feels like it would need to have been established mid-flight, but it sort of acts like it was there the whole time. And they have some kind of conspiracy about, like, people vying for new startup procedures and not really explaining to us what that means. But there's, like, a guy who sells air conditioners on a spaceship underwater. And he's like, yes, my refrigeration technology will something. And I don't know, man, they're not giving us a lot of information. I feel like that genuinely summarizes a lot of what we've discovered, other than the fact that when we left off last time, we woke up on our like third in-game day or something, and an alarm was blaring. So let's play Harold Halibut. We are like 20 minutes in the stream. Blip. Good thing for people watching on YouTube that I always mark chapters for when the gameplay starts. Oh god.
What's that? Oh, that darn alarm, waking me up from my swimming dreamies. Maybe it's just a test.
Man, this is the problem with humanity. This is not a Harold Halibut problem.
Like something is up. Gotta go check.
People always be assuming that alarms are tests.
Exploded.
Alarm, alarm, alarm. Oh, it's already 7 days from now is when you'll be in the US, NECA? That's so exciting. I hope you have just a wonderful time. He's already got his flashlight out, which I find conspicuous. Not conspicuous, suspicious. It's gonna be one of those days where I feel like I haven't slept super well this week, and so I'm just not gonna function, right? I don't like that something's glowing on that spacesuit on the right. That feels like something bad's gonna happen to me. Actually, before I like go and check that red screen that will surely tell me something about something, let me do one of the only things I could do in this game. Oh no, I don't have a prompt to flip the switch because I'm already holding a flashlight. I wanted to lower the shelf of mysterious things that I always do instead of leaving the room.
No surprise. There seems to be something wrong with the filter station again. This thing loves getting me out of bed.
I mean, it kind of seems like it's your job or whatever. Interesting that I can't go in that weird storage closet right now. Are we aware of why there's a neon letter S on the wall here when this is like a laboratory for Dr. Moreau and Harold Halibut also works here and neither of those names start with S? Nor do they contain an S? There's a run button in this game, isn't there? Oh, I found it. Found it in one. So I think we're like all the way at the bottom of the stairs. No? If you weren't here last week, we watched a man shower in here. That's the kind of game this is. S for scientist. You're so right, Demolition. That's definitely it. Like I said, she dreads the weather in the US, but is excited as going to the zoo. Will touch your friends' faces. The ones within reach, anyway. This could work if you can get it. Don't blame me for your follow-up statement that there's no way you'd want to live in the USA. There's quite a lot I like about living in the US. I'm pretty biased, having lived here my entire life, but also, it's kind of a bad place for many reasons. I like that it, like, crossed that off as, like, you did it, you checked it when, like, nothing had happened yet. Is that, like, Alien? Are we doing... Wait, what's that movie that's the good one? There's... The Shape of Water is the good one, right? A long time ago, I watched an indie movie called The Weight of Water, which was god-awful. It is a... The Weight of Water is a movie that is so bad that, like, a topless Elizabeth Hurley in her prime does not salvage that movie from being like a hard F. Very bad movie. Shape of Water is the one where, like, a lady falls in love with a fish man. That's the reference I'm making. Could be Deep Blue Sea, deepest, bluest. My head is like a shark's fin. God, even that statement is depressing as heck. Nico says her brother paid to get her health insurance for her journey to the US. And the reason being the debt collectors wouldn't come for him should she die over there. I'm pretty sure none of that is a joke or embellishment, and it's very, very depressing. Is this Halibut Herald? It could be, Sarah. It could be. We'll need to get a new neon sign. F is for Fishman. Call me Fishmael. Is that something? Did anyone laugh? If it is, I'm smart and I intended it. Excellent. Got at least 2 pity laughs.
Is he okay?
It is breathing. We should
Wow,
be hesitant
way to be
ascribe
speciesist
deterministic
immediately.
gender terms to fishy here. Their race may not even have
That'd be
gender,
they, though.
biologically or culturally.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Sorry, Fishy. It just feels
Wow.
unfair saying it.
Perhaps when Fishy wakes up, we'll be able to exchange theories about the formation of gender identity and its sociological impact. No doubt it'd give us some fascinating insights into the anthropological and biological imperatives of their society.
We
But
got stuff to do, lady.
are they
We
gonna
got like
be okay?
89
Let me
days.
see. Essential life signs seem stable. Surface moisture looks acceptable. Keep an eye on them. If they look to be drying out, give them a spritz.
See, now we're using
And
they,
what do we
them,
do
and not
next?
it.
Just let me think for a minute.
Should I go get more help?
Let's not be hasty about telling anyone else yet. There are all kinds of ways someone, namely Allwater, could get this all so very wrong.
Makes sense.
That's the one
There would be
company.
so many questions. You'd never be able to concentrate.
Exactly.
Already can't.
All those things will get in the way of us taking good care of this.
Yes.
It's a lot of spray.
Yes, and when
I
they
get
wake
it.
up,
It's a lot.
it's all going to feel pretty scary.
We'll do what we can do. We just need to keep them safe until I can finish conducting the tests. I mean, you know, health tests.
What about keeping them secret in the storage room? I could keep the boxes in my room.
Yes. Proximity to the lab. Humid environment. No other
Why is our
access.
storage room
Yes,
abnormally
that should be
humid?
Suitable. Good idea.
That seems like
Let's
poor
move them
conditions
in
for
there.
that.
Gosh, I'm no expert, but they look really poorly.
Don't worry, Harold. You did well to bring them to me promptly. They're in the right hands. Now, let me concentrate.
Okay, I'll get to clearing up the storage room.
She almost made a skull joke. They're gonna ask, is that a fish or a deflated giraffe? Por que no los dos? I will say that the camera angle here does not do a lot to disambiguate what we're looking at exactly. I mean, definitely got some, like, cheetah spots. Doesn't seem to, like, immediately have discernible face from this angle. Has, like, quite a lot of, like, actively rainbow color shifting glowing epidermis thing. Sorry, what's my Compy bud. Wink. Winky face. Okay, declutter storage. Moreau liked my idea to keep Fishy in the storage room behind the lab, so I'll need to tidy it up. Yeah, you know, I actually kind of forgot quite how British the game feels. When I posted a reminder on Discord that we were streaming again this week, someone was like, "This game is very British." I'm like, "Is it?" And now, like 5 seconds, and I'm like, "Right." No drawing. I mean, I don't know. Give it like 5 seconds. We'll probably get a drawing. Generate tedium. Oh god, this guy's like me organizing. Whole room full of stuff. Let me move this one box. I'm the worst. Like, really need to deal with this. I don't think there's like a pre-placed spot for that. I think it just drops that stuff where you stand. People talking a little bit about Neko's trip and where she might end up going. I was just watching the season finale of The Amazing Race, which normally The Amazing Race like starts and ends in a U.S. city because it's produced in the U.S. It will, like, honestly, if this is my task for the next like several minutes, I will actually appreciate it more than any task we've had so far, because I just find it so funny that there's no animation to like set it down gently, just boom. But yeah, I was watching Amazing Race. They ended in Philadelphia this season, which is where a general area where I grew up. And someone got bad directions and drove all the way to New Jersey. And that doesn't happen very often on that show. It was funny. What? What? Someone help me out. Didn't I pressed a button in the room with the boxes, which had previously picked up boxes, and now this is happening, where I seem to be like a disembodied robot arm in, like, distorted space? I don't... What's happening? What's happening? I'm kind of trying to Tetris. It's not working. For one, I can't go all the way to the left. Like, I don't understand if this is a metaphor or I'm having a stroke. But, like, clearly it doesn't make sense for this to be... like at a 90-degree angle from reality. This is not going good. Don't see you recovering from the gaps in the wall. Nah, I mean, there's like a reason why everything's at kind of like nice perpendicular angles in a game of Tetris. The main reason being that this kind of... Okay, now you can't tell me that this is normal. I'm pretty sure this isn't how Tetris works. Probably an achievement for doing this perfectly the first time. I have no doubt. It's pretty difficult, I think, to have a concept of what's going on until you get here, though. This is the Tetris man. Did I miss out on, like, an urban legend of some description? Also, you know, with Tetris, like, typically you get a sense of what the next piece is so you can, like, plan ahead. I definitely was not warned about this. I don't know what any of that was. Like, that's not how anything works, including Tetris. I think that banana peel was supposed to be funny, but, like, we are way too divorced from reality for that to make any sense. Also, this feels like way less stuff in here than was previously in the room we've supposedly cleared out. The whole thing was a joke? Unclear. If it was, the joke landed about as well as Harold did in that pile of boxes. I think they already set up like an IV stand. And also, of course, a decorative corner pineapple. Alright, what else is on my Winky to-do list? I do have to find that bird. I, like, randomly invaded the space of the captain of the ship, and there's a very bizarre mechanism there. He was like, I lost my dodo bird, please find it. And I was like, alright, I got nothing better to do because my life is stupid. Oh yeah, and there's this whole like weird side story or something where there's like a family of like 24 brothers or something and only 4 of them matter. You like talk to this one guy and he's like, I've heard that there's a 4th brother, even though I think they like specifically say there's like 20 some of them, but like only 4 of them matter. I don't really understand. Much like the thing that just occurred with the Tetris and the whatnot. So we put the fish away now?
Okay, think I'm done with the box room.
Wait, let's move them in there. Harold, can you get that? Hold it up and
Real
put it on
managerial
speakerphone
aura.
for me.
That we could have got that done
Enjoy your
quicker,
new home
but she
fishing.
literally just stood there doing nothing.
This is Moreau.
No, it's Cyrus.
What? Cyrus? I'm Moreau.
Yes, I was trying to call you.
You've succeeded, perhaps unfortunately.
Yes, well, just for once, listen to what I have to say.
I'm listening.
God's sake.
Good.
Skip.
You sound faint, though. Am I on speakerphone?
Yes, I don't have time to stand still every time you need me, Cyrus.
That line of dialogue is going to
What
give me
is
an
it?
aneurysm.
So, Slippy is here. One moment I was all alone working on the hydrofusion coefficient machinations.
Right,
thinking
right.
How interesting it was that...
Sigh. I really do hate to interrupt you, but not as much as I hate not interrupting you. You were saying about Slippy?
I'm sorry. So, as I stated previously, a significant portion of the game thus far has been us, like, physically going to, like, talk to people and, like, deliver messages. We have telephones, as I stated, but they're, like, cordless telephones with speakerphone capabilities? And these things being true, why don't we just bring the cordless speakerphone receiver into the room where she's talking, so it doesn't sound like he's having a conversation with a toilet?
Yes, well, the next moment he was here. He's rootling around, asking me all kinds of questions I
Rootling?
don't want to answer. Can't you come and, I don't know, scare him
Ooh.
off?
Two
I'll
guesses
see what
where
I
we're
can
going
do.
next.
Give me 5 minutes.
Okay, see you soon, I guess. Thanks.
What was that?
Nothing, bye.
Harold, as you've heard, I've got to go and babysit. I've taken a blood sample from Fishy. Can you rush it to the pharmacy? Get it analysed, then get some suitable transfusion based on the results.
Can do. I'll go right away. Is it
It
looking
needs a
okay
blood
for you?
transfusion and we took
Just
some of its
fine.
blood?
It's
That feels
stable,
iffy.
and hopefully the results will help us with the missing pieces of this little fishy puzzle.
Hope so. Thanks,
Fish
Professor.
puzzle.
Good luck.
This game's been out for a month. I think like 3 weeks, not quite a month. Maybe, yeah, probably about 3 weeks.
The all-water tube route to the utility district has now reopened. And perfectly on schedule, we might add.
It's like not trains, it's like a... just feels like a weird observation to make. There we go.
The all-water tube route to the social district has reopened. Please do not all try to go at once. Thank you
So
for
just
your
gonna keep doing that. Hey, Demolition, I found you your drawing of the fish. Does this make you feel better? It's very, good. Literally a month and a day. It's a little longer than I thought. Because this... You said I'd be able to catch up easily, but I'm so confused. I didn't say it would make sense. I said you'd be able to catch up. I feel like you know everything I know, pretty much, other than some specific details. There's some Tim Burton-esque looking Lord Farquaad who are interested in discussing gender with a rainbow giraffe fish who appears to be dead or unconscious. Also crate Tetris. What is any of this? Well, like, literally everything you're confused about just happened, so you couldn't possibly have any more information about it. So I don't know what the question is. I mean, you saw my reaction to the Tetris. Clearly it doesn't make sense to me either, so the context wouldn't help. Deliver the blood. To the pharmacy? Oh, great. Now I have to figure out what a pharmacy is. Hold on, though. I have another task. I can't bring the sample shelf out now, either? What is this game? What is this garbage game? The rewards trailer is 8s and 4 out of 5s. That's interesting. I mean, in as much as one is willing to call this a game as a walking simulator, which, like, different people's tastes will vary, so I'm not trying to make a value judgment there. It feels like this is a game that's simultaneously committed too hard to something that's, like, not entirely relatable, and not hard enough to something that would actually grip the average person who I feel is within their target audience. Not enough puppetry to beat Thunderbirds or Captain Scarlet. I mean, listen, few things can be super marionation. And frankly, there's not enough of it in the world.
All water. Moving people every day.
Did you see Twitter is finally X as of this morning? I need you to disambiguate that sentence.
We know you enjoy
As far as I know, in official
all
capacity,
water.
it's been X forever,
Welcome.
and I'm not calling it that. I wasn't paying attention to what the announcer said. Hopefully it wasn't important. That's some natural looking hair. I think we saw that girl before. Didn't she, like, deliver us a weird message? Oh, look, a bunch of weirdos.
And now presenting Yava Pelletier and her poem, Dark Silent Ship. Take it away, Yava!
Thank you, Mr. Tenenbaum. What is the dark and silent ship? That being nowhere neither comes nor
I like that there's a poster that just says read a book. Am I in, like, an elementary school library? Oh, hang on. She's doing something that I'm supposed to care about, but there's, like, a swing and some sort of spring shark fish thing, and I can't ride any of this? 0 out of 10. This game is unplayable. I don't understand at all. How's it getting, like, 4 out of 5? The domain changed to x.com. That's a tragedy, that's all it is. It's a real tragedy. I'm snooping. I think. Is this what I'm supposed to be doing?
Flounder. What am I going to do with you, eh? No one can ever know about you. You're a living, floundering breach of all the rules in the book. My book, I might add. Oh, the things I do
It's a dry fish.
Anyway, Chapter 3, The Merry Band. It was a dark and stormy night when the 4 intrepid explorers left the Fedora in search of the riches that would make their names. Who's there?
Oh,
Why did he leave his door,
hi,
like,
Major.
a third
It's
open?
me, Harold.
What in
While
the
having,
blue
like, contraband.
blazes are you doing here, boy?
I'm sorry to interrupt. I was just passing. Thought I heard... But then...
Well, whatever you heard, or most definitely didn't hear, if you get my drift, is your invasion of my privacy.
You left your door
perhaps we
open,
should
my
just both
guy.
forget this whole messy incident ever happened, hmm?
Oh, yes. Of course,
That's
Major.
fine. I just want you to understand that you don't
Good.
have a reasonable
Let me write
expectation
you
of
a ticket
privacy
as
when
a
you leave your
reminder.
door open.
Oh, okay.
Very good. Now, if you'll excuse us, I mean, me.
Something definitely seems off about that creature. But, you know, par for the course, maybe. I think Snoopy wrote that opening line. Yeah, probably. I can't help but notice that, like, both his story and this one are basically like, it was a dark and stormy boat time.
Catching up all manner of fishy debris.
I don't like the sound of fishy
The
debris.
tides of
Hi there.
my heart.
Oh, hi there. I'm
Surrender
Fern.
yourself
I'm Harold. Nice to meet you.
tides of my heart.
Your name
have
is
a kid
stupid,
performing a
Fern.
Them drag
What?
you under.
No,
No, man, I'm like a total creep.
I'm here in my official capacity as a talent scout, man.
Oh, so what kind of talent are you scouting for exactly?
Together.
I see hidden talents in many places, man. Maybe I'll get one of those kiddos to write some boss verse for one of the papers. Or sign one as an actor. I got clients all over, man.
You got your eye on anyone already?
Man, I sure don't like
Sure.
this person.
But I don't want to reveal the hidden talents to the whole world, right? Do
I mean,
myself out of a
arguably
job.
do to some extent.
You understand, right? No hard feelings.
I think I do. And yeah, no hard feelings. Don't worry. I'll let you get back to scouting.
Thanks, man. Enjoy the show. And when you see one of these kiddos go on to great things, you'll be able to say you met
You
the
are
man who made
officially
it happen.
belaboring the point, my dude.
But the answer is there. If you really look hard.
Why is there like a cowboy
It's
beatnik?
in the...
What's your whole deal?
Oh, Eve, hey, what do you think of...
Let me do the last line again. It'll jog my memory. But the
Hello there.
answer is
Oh, well, hello.
really
You enjoying the show?
I most certainly am.
Wait.
I'll enjoy it all the more when my girl performs hers.
Oh, that's great. You're a parent.
Line again.
What's her poem
Jog
about?
my memory.
Oh,
This whole
I
thing is
believe it
weird,
will
right?
Speak for itself. I don't like to brag, but she's rather precocious and... Hang on. Are you not a parent?
Yeah, man.
No, I'm just here to listen.
Just like
Is
that creepy
quite
guy.
so?
We're super weird and
Are you
unsettling.
some kind of bohemian poetry
It should be
lover?
concerning to
Perhaps?
everyone that a
Or
large
rather,
portion of the audience is
shabby-looking
weird,
teacher I've not met
childless
before.
Me?
dudes.
No, I'm just a handyman. Kind of wandered by.
A handyman with no professed love for the poetic art, idly watching children perform.
Yeah, man.
And
It's
making
weird.
small talk with the parents then, hmm?
It's very weird. I
that's
agree
about
with
right.
you.
Oh dear. I do apologize, but would you wander away?
And flow.
I'm not sure quite how proper it is for me to continue associating with you.
Listen, I gotta
no,
say,
it's-
this game has had a lot of people be
Okay,
unjustly
I understand.
upset with and
I
or
hope you
rude to
enjoy your
Harold
daughter's
Halibut.
poem.
I feel like that
Yes,
reaction
you
is spot
too.
on.
Bye now.
I feel like that is the appropriate reaction to that situation.
Tides of my
But like,
heart.
this whole I mean, as Delisha points out,
Surrender yourself
it like
to the tides.
this
of
isn't
my
a
heart.
Shakespearean aside. He's like talking
Let
full
them
volume,
drag you
like
under,
2 feet away from the person
ever
performing.
deeper.
But like, it's also weird. Like,
I
we came to the social district, not like the school district.
sleeper.
We didn't go into a school and find the auditorium. We're just like walking by,
dancing
and there
together
is like a school
to the
performance
beat
here
of the
with
tides
weird,
of my
childless
heart.
adult dudes. Like, I just have a lot
Where
of
do the
questions
tides
about
of my heart
whatever
lead
country
to?
the people who
in
made
the
this game are
dead
native
of
to and how they
night?
operate things.
In the light of day, they lead beyond the veil.
Hey, Chris.
Ah, Harold. Didn't know you were into this sort of thing.
Me either. But here I am.
Well, what do you think?
It's great. Very, moving. And they really look like they're having fun.
Yes! I think it's an excellent expression of their young, curious minds. Sharing their hopes, dreams, and fears in expressive verses like this, it just warms my little toes to see.
Aw.
Is that dude always in his
So,
robe?
you
Because
have a
he's
favorite so
also
far?
a childless
All
creep,
my
Jakey.
students are equal in my eyes, Harold.
Oh, that's right. He is technically the teacher. All the more
no,
concerning
I
that he
mean,
is a childless
a poem?
creep.
Oh, yes, well, truth be told, it's all Algarabia to me.
What does that mean?
Well, indeed.
I'm not smart enough to
What
know
does
either.
any of it mean?
No, I mean,
Really
never mind.
loud. Wait. It's in the. Oh.
Oh, I can't. Can I go in this room where there's like a sad child off by themselves?
No.
Nope. Gotta do my unattached creeper thing somewhere else.
From the start.
Someone said earlier they like the shape of this room. It is a pretty interesting.
Sorry. Okay.
Like, stuff like this is really cool about this game. I think, like, the sort of handcrafted design has led to some, like, unique architecture that feels like
Seated.
weird retro futurism. The disco ball and the steam vent, kind of a weird pull, but why not? Oh, I forgot. I apologize. I forgot that I have the swoon uncomfortably in and stand still button. I don't know if the pace of these conversations interspersed with the poem in the background is really showing the pacing problems. In what specific way? You feel like you should see some of the performance and then have conversations and not have them at the same time with the weird, janky, like, beyond natural pauses and things that the dialogue has typically had? I don't understand. What is the social district, incidentally?
Testing 1, 2, 3. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la. La, di, lu, li, lu, lu, lu.
It's the tannoy guy.
Lolly Lule Low.
Water. Water. Woogan. Woo, 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 wow, water.
Oh,
The
gosh, I should
Human
probably just
Torch
leave,
was
let him talk to
denied
himself
a
in
bank
private.
loan.
Did I hear something outside? Hello? Anyone out there? It's okay, you know. I have an
Just a
open
wandering
door
pervert.
policy. Well, the front door, not this one.
It's an extremely
hello?
weird thing to say.
I'm Harold. I was just passing and noticed the open door. I just wanted to check.
Welcome. This is a bathroom announcement. I'm still in the shower, but please deposit your bum on the nearest available seat station. Make yourself at home. This is Radio Fedora, coming to you from the shower. This just in, I am the voice inside your head. Ooh, rub-a-dub-dub.
So, you get many visitors?
Oh, sure. I have quite a few fans of my voice, actually. I'm always happy for them to swing by and have a listen to some behind-the-scenes chat.
Do you think you'll always be the PA announcer?
Listen to chat.
Ah, interesting question. Well, if I were to ever announce my retirement, I think it would be nice to do something a bit more hands-on, you know? Maybe some voice coaching, or learn guitar work to go with my singing. Ooh, perhaps Entertainment Onat and I could start a band. Can I ask a question?
Sure. Go ahead.
What do you think is my best announcement? I know there's a lot of classics, but if you had to pick just one.
It's gonna be one of those insanely fast
I always
dialogue
like
options.
the Thursday greetings.
Ah, yes. I write those myself, you know.
Wow, that's really great. Keep them up.
Ooh, I will.
Thank you, but I'd
This
better
is
be going
plot
now.
critical. I want you
Okay,
all to understand.
You'll be hearing
Plot
from
critical.
me.
Got a trophy. But to the question that I started when I got here, what is the social district? So you come here and there's a classroom with a giant glass wall, and then outside of that there's like an open air poetry reading that allows perverts for some reason. And you walk 5 feet and you find like the personal quarters of the guy who's like chief constable of the station or whatever. And he's got an illegal fish pet, a waterless fish pet. And then like another 5 feet down the road, there's like a dude who keeps his front door open so people will talk to him while he's showering. And Harold Halibut, being who he is, he's just fine with that. That's totally normal. But yeah, I mean, like this place, like what is like, is this quarters? There's like a shower toilet area. There's like a sink that kind of looks like an office printer, but is probably like a washer dryer or something for clothes maybe. But then like a full quarter of the room is like plants, and there's no, the only furniture that's here is like a single table and 3 stools, no bed. Like, what is this place? I think it's a district for people with absolutely no boundaries. Oh man, if that guy knew his neighbor could give him guitar lessons, I don't know, something would happen. I don't understand this world at all, I think. Weird, I can't talk to anyone in this bathroom. What do you think is a worse bathroom interaction? Like talking to a man while he's showering, after like essentially breaking into his house in this game, or my favorite heavy rain trick of always peeing whenever possible, never washing hands. I don't think there's any meaningful interaction in this place. There might be a trophy for like listening to him play the entire theme song very slowly or something, but like, well, despite every reason to think the contrary, I got stuff to try and do on the stream today. Wasn't I coming here to deliver blood or something?
I'd better start from the start. The last line doesn't have the same effect otherwise. Sorry.
In the utility district. 2 districts opened. Okay. Not just this bad place that I don't like very much. It's like the social and residential district. I don't know, man. Like, this is my point. Like, the fact that none of us can quite agree on, like, what's going on here, I feel like is exactly my point. I need to go to the... No, lab district is like where I live. I need the utility district, so I probably have to go through central.
Water compliments you on your choice of destination.
Commission asks, is Harold one of the most important people on the ship? Just some dude shoved into a maintenance closet on a completely different district? All of the living quarters situations in this world seem like truly baffling to me. We got a message from the captain, probably about that bird. Oh, sick. Now we made a doodle of the man who was showering that we were speaking to. And for some reason, we've just, like, drawn his whole butt. Wouldn't the lab district be the place to get blood analyzed and synthesized? You could be forgiven for thinking so, but nah, that's where we'd sleep and do nightmare box Tetris. Hey everyone, Zoya here. I'm at the Agora Game Arcade if anyone wants to play or hang out. Or I have a task to go hang out with the captain now, I guess. Why not? Why not, I ask you? I could ask you Wobbuffet, but instead I ask you, why not?
Travel in style with all
Also
water.
hairy armpits. Also hairy armpits. Which was the working title for the game and name for the protagonist, but it didn't test well in focus groups.
Journey for some reason. Just contact your nearest and all water will make it up to you.
Do you have more information about your bizarre side quest of siblings?
Mr. 17?
Mr. Halibut?
Anyone been lucky with the raffle recently?
Not recently. It's a real hoot, though, when someone does win. The excitement as they go away to look through the access forum to correlate their winning tickets to the reward is palpable.
So, do we have unlimited travel credit? Can it run out? No and yes. That's like specifically how the game starts, if you remember. Is like, dude like kicks our door in. Like the dude with the contraband fish like kicks our door in. Is like, Harold Halibut, you didn't pay all of the fees for your mandatory garbage travel tubes. You're under like mild arrest. And he like took us to some office where like the doctor had to come and like pay our fine.
What are some of the other prizes then?
Oh, okay. You've twisted my arm. One of my favourite prizes is a signed photo of Madam's CEO.
You're a really interesting guy, huh?
Quite striking.
What are some of the other prizes then?
How many times can I do this?
If you're really lucky, you might win a month's supply of tube tickets. Free travel, much as you want. What freedom!
What are some of the other prizes
I hope
then?
these get weird.
It's always possible to win one of the best prizes of them all. An audience with the all-water announcer.
Joke's on you, I just talked to him while I was bathing. We were both uncomfortable.
Or indeed, any phrase you desire announced in his own inimitable style. You even get a recording to take away with you.
can we get him to say something that'll get him canceled and then take over his position on the ship? Because our job sucks.
What are some of the fantastic prizes on offer?
I suppose I can let you in on a smattering of them. One delightful winning entitles you to a guided tour of the all-water tube system, full of juicy facts about the construction and statistics about the traffic through it.
I'll be going. Thanks, Mr. 17.
It's weird that that dialogue was framed as though it was like the first one I asked about, but it seems like it's necessarily last in sequence. What makes Harold so important? Hold on. We just saw this woman, like, waiting to see her daughter perform poetry or whatever, and she's like, could you, like, bugger off, please? And now she's, like, here, like, ignoring her own daughter? Why, though? Why, though? Why, though?
Welcome to Water Wieners.
Ah, no thanks.
I bet you've never seen a meaner wiener.
I
Hello there.
do not care to
No,
answer
I
that
haven't.
publicly.
They look great. How long have you been here?
Oh, I'm not sure. I just live for the day. But I'm here now, after a long tour of all the culinary innovation the Fedora has to offer.
Oh, cool. So what made you decide on
God, we're so boring.
An astute question, my curious Epicurean friend.
What'd you call me?
I have concluded that wieners and their accompanying toppings and trimmings are the most perfect balance between taste, convenience, and nutrition.
I don't care to speak about that publicly.
Okay. By the way, you look familiar. Are you related to the all-water secretaries by any chance?
By blood, yes. That's about where the relation ends.
So,
which wiener will you be wanting?
Task. Talk to number 8 about Warren. I don't know which one is number 8. 17 is the guy we were just talking to, I think. Don't should ask if these people ever leave the copy shop. You said that there's no walkthrough. I think I actually consulted something resembling a walkthrough, and at some point it suggested that if you, like, eavesdrop on these 2 coffee shop people and hear every line of dialogue they have, there's, like, a trophy for, like, eavesdropping. Well, I think maybe you have to do that in an earlier chapter, because they're not talking now. Oh, on Steam specifically. I don't remember what I was looking at, to be honest. No one is wearing a fedora on the Fedora. I mean, obviously you're not wrong, but, like, the Fedora has a certain reputation in modern society. Imagine how much worse that's gotten in the amount of time it took to construct a ship on this scale and send it out into space to some alien planet where all this crap is happening. Oh, can I actually go in the general store now after helping that guy?
Hiya, Tommy.
How's it hanging, Harry?
Low and to the left.
I was wondering about your work relationship with Filter Frankie.
Oh, that? That little thing? It's nothing. Just a professional arrangement. He trusts me because... I mean, I don't
answer questions like that.
I'm the right store for his produce, you know? Very paranoid fella. Or lady. I just give him a cut of any sales of
Maybe
things
Filter
he finds
Frankie
in the
is the fish
filters that I'm able
themselves.
to polish up and sell on somehow.
Jakey says, I like fedoras, but they look weird on my head. I gotta tell you, I think I'm actually maybe in the market for getting, like, a nice hat. I've become very self-conscious about my hair recently. Because I've, like, started to, like... I've had some sort of, like, forbidden fruit of knowledge revelation about how just absolutely terrible my hair is. And how it's probably contributed to... in a fairly direct, but still somewhat indirect way to a lot of my social anxiety and self-esteem issues. And I'm like, well, there's a few ways to handle that, but one thing I know is that people always say I look good in hats. If I get a nice hat, then maybe I could just pretend that my hair isn't terrible. It's the story behind what? There's no antecedent as far as I know. We just sort of wandered in here asked them a vague personal question. Now we're like, what's this about?
What's the story behind this?
Ah, now this was a little something my grandma, who was a machine engineer, made a whole bunch of in her spare time. They look like puzzles, but you can't actually solve them, so they're just like little brass
We'll be playing Corn tomorrow.
philosophy ornaments.
Find a nice barbershop. I already go to, like, by far the highest rated, like, hair cutting place for men. It's not a dedicated barbershop, but, like, there aren't, like, a ton of those near me. And anytime I've ever gone to any place to get my hair cut, I'm always like, I am, like, so open to your suggestions, I cannot tell you. And they're like, got it. Cut it a little bit. And I'm like, fine, I guess, but, like, but also, like, without disparaging myself too much, I think I'm rapidly approaching, like, comb-over phase of my sad, pathetic existence, so, like, that's not a solution to that problem. If you don't mind traveling, go to West Hollywood and find a place. I do, and I do. His family life working out. Who's his wife? We met her last time. She's the scientist, right? She's probably, well, no, she's not the person who's got to process the blood because we're taking it to a pharmacy, I think.
How's family life working out?
It's amazing. Felix is growing up to be nice and strong-willed, strong imagination. I always try and remember to tell him that that's a good thing, even if it gets him in trouble at school. I never did great at school, and look at me now. I'm married to a woman like Bridget.
I didn't actually remember, or maybe the game didn't make it clear, but more likely I forgot. I did not realize that him and his wife were the parents of that kid who, like, took us through the air conditioning vents. It kind of sucks. Isn't the scientist having a fling with the teacher? Unconfirmed. We were suspicious of it, and then the game did, like, some hand-wavy stuff where they're like, no, it was a misunderstanding. But, like, I don't know.
What was life like before Bridget and Felix?
I had much more hair. Wish I could blame it falling out on the boy, but I think all my hair energy just went to my mustache.
I don't know how to respond to that.
Anyway, I was way more of a hoarder, but I was great at telling stories about all that stuff too.
I really don't like that I feel like I relate to this awful character.
It's what convinced me to get into the general store business. It was hard actually letting the stuff I'd collected go at first, though.
Oh, I see. That's funny. Makes sense, though.
Ha! You've reminded me. It was on a foraging mission for new stock that I first ran into Bridget. It's a good thing I worked in the shop already, so she never realized how much I loved hoarding stuff.
I'll let you get back to it, Tommy.
Take it easy, Harry.
Hey, Katan, welcome to the stream. Still need money on this ship? Yeah, man, it doesn't end when you die. You still have to work. Which, I mean, yeah, this ship kind of sucks. I think, on some level, I really feel as though Harold Halibut's kind of supposed to be boring because they actually just want to showcase all these other characters that they came up with. Because they give you all this, like, backstory that, like, clearly can't matter or be all that important. But, like, it's good as a writer who, like, thought this stuff through. It just, like, it, like, clearly doesn't matter to, like, the story we're telling. So, like, it feels weird that it's all in here. But then when you, like, give Harold nothing to sort of give back, everyone's just kind of talking at him. It's just, like, not quite right. No, I was making a reference to something that is not physically possible for anyone other than my mom to have seen. We did not die. Although the ship crashed in, like, I don't know, maybe it's like a lost situation where everyone was, like, in purgatory the whole time or whatever. Stuff in this plot I think might happen, but the reveal is like British Lost with a smaller budget. Demolition said at basically the same time. Is that a Wrist Cutters a Love Story reference? No, I don't know what that is. You got me there, Cotillion. Harold may as well be replaced with a break. I mean, frankly, I think the game might almost benefit from what we've seen so far if instead of like a hapless like repairman with no personality, we actually just played like a big cartoon fish and we just like glob glob and then they would like speak to us in English. Like that might just be a better game. Like I mean, the game definitely has like pacing problems, and there's like some other stuff that's like objectively a little rough too. But like, I think a lot of my issues come from like Harold just kind of sucks, and not in like a fun way, and not in like a way where I feel like the story is about him overcoming the fact that he naturally sucks. So like, I feel like we potentially may get to the end of the game and he still sucks and won't have learned a lesson about how much he sucked. Hold on. Man, that dude is struggling so hard to walk up those stairs, it is fascinating. Is he drunk? By the way, this is the childless creeper. Dude, he's like spinning around. Like, this dude is on one. Can't talk to him, huh? Hold on. Found a use for this button. You alright there, dude? Alright, see you later. Which says, either do the hapless hurt hero bit we were discussing last time we played, or make Harold a robot that has a cart on it. Would make the world come through third person. That's kind of an interesting idea. Is like we sort of personify some like menial task robot as if it's a character, like almost like WALL-E style or something like that. And we see the world, then we have kind of a lens through which to just see the world as it exists without interacting with it. That's actually a really interesting idea. Literally just get Stray again. No, I would argue that in Stray you have more agency than at least my interpretation of what Demolition suggests. Because, like, in that you still have your own mission and you still sort of drive the narrative. Like, here, like, Harold just sort of, like, exists at the whim of other people. Like, he doesn't do anything for himself. Like, people just tell him what to do. And I feel like the suggestion is, like, just lean into that and make him a robot that just responds to what people tell it to do. So then, like, you see, like, this isn't the right term, but, like, a found footage story where, like, you just see the world. You just see it happening. It's, like, already happening, and you just happen to be there.
Captain at Large Zoya?
Oh, hi, Harold. You know you can just call me Zoya, or Zoe.
Do you have casual clothes?
Anymore.
Oh, what do you mean?
Huh? Well, you know what they say about a captain going down with his ship?
Who said that?
Well, I don't know, but I read it somewhere.
That sounds like a sad story.
Yeah, well, it is.
Oh, we made him mess up. Look, it's on the home screen.
I didn't even get to go down. I was born destined to be a captain.
You know what? On a planet like this.
But
I might
Allwater mentioned some kind of
wet
research going on about a relaunch, right?
It's a lot of ocean.
And the ship needs
is what
running
I'm saying.
in general.
Sure, but all water takes care of that just fine without me. Look, I appreciate you trying to make me feel better.
I don't think that's what we're doing.
At least I assume that's what you're trying to do. But could you just leave me be? I'm chasing a new high score on this. It's the one thing I'm good at.
Oh, okay. Good luck with that.
I mean, I guess it's a relatively good sign that if this dude was going to play an arcade game in his spare time, it's one about maneuvering, like a ship or whatever. No, I thought this was one I hadn't played, but we definitely played this one. And I don't want to play it. This dude feels like he could be putting on a play for children in a weird public space. Alright, well, we did that thing so we could probably leave. Okay, no, hold on. I'm gonna go back to the social district just because I want to see if this lady is there. And also that drunk gentleman while we're at it. Interrupt the play. Is it another one of the, like, 10,000 achievements this game has? I'm concerned about letting her escape my sight and have an excuse to go back there. Why does the front of the stage function like stairs? I think this is what he intended, Demolition. I don't think I'm actually disrupting him. I think he wanted this. There doesn't appear to be any interact function, just in case that wasn't clear. Did she actually leave? I'm genuinely a little mad about that. Oh no, there she is. Don't you follow me. I mean, I should talk to this guy. Well, like, I gotta go see if she's there. Social district.
Destination chosen. We hope you enjoy your all-water tube system journey.
All this work for animation, modeling, lighting, etc., and nothing happens. There's definitely, like...
You've arrived.
We could talk a great deal about what it means for something to happen, but, like, I feel like... I just don't want something to trigger. Just forgive me a moment. I feel like, broadly speaking, you know, we were talking a moment ago about this hypothetical world where, like, you play as some sort of, like, inanimate object, like, acting as witness to a world that's already, like, in motion or whatever. And I feel like to some extent that is actually what this game is trying to do, to have this, like, lived-in world on this strange Fedora 2 spaceship, and it's like weird population that still needs money and these various things. But, like, there's sort of two core problems there. Like, one, the game, I feel as though the game very much bills itself as like a proper story, not just like a exploration narrative, like see what's going on. I feel like the trailers make it look like it's like a sci-fi, almost like disaster movie of sorts. So, like, there's a little bit of, like, a bait and switch to that. But also, like, the other problem is just that, like, if your idea is like, this is, like, a slice of life thing, and we're just, like, observing weird day-to-day happenings, and isn't, like, just human existence kind of beautiful in its own, like, mundane way, stuff still happens to people, though. Like, if you wanted to have, like, a people-watching style game, then by, like, following a certain character, you'd get, like, cute little mini narratives and stuff. It wouldn't just be, like, people just doing the most tedious aspects of life. It just, I don't know, like, it has this, like, weird vibe of, like, we didn't think through how we wanted the game to feel, and so we just filled it with mundane for not as explicit a purpose as I would expect. Like, I'm fine with it being about mundane stuff, but, like, again, I feel like then we would want to focus on, like, little story of, like, oh, maybe these two people who don't have any reason to, like, find each other, like, find, like, love. They find, like, a little relationship. Or, you know, you see, like a bully in the school district, like, get his comeuppance when someone decides to stand up to them, or something, you know, just doesn't have to be super high stakes or something, but, like, one, the game kind of sells itself as, like, a sci-fi, maybe not an epic, but, like, some large-scale sci-fi something or other. But, like, two, like, stuff would still happen. Isn't it, like, 70 gigs? I don't remember. It's been more than, like, 3 days. I don't remember anything. Yeah, she's here, too. This lady is in two places at once, and it troubles me. Oh my god, look! The student who's in that room that I can't get to is holding up a help sign. Like Wile E. Coyote or something. Can I, go in there now? No? Still no?
Where do they go? The toads of my heart.
The toads of my heart? Yeah, that's great, but, like, that's the sort of thing I'm talking about. Like, more of that and less of people just, like, existing weirdly. I don't know how else to put it. Just, like...
Destination decided.
It doesn't feel lived in because it feels, like, too abstract and too pointless. But, like, if the world was more like that, more consistently, I feel like I would appreciate it more. I get a new message from Captain... What's happening? Harold, I'm hanging around in the bar if you fancy a drink or not. I'm buying. I'll be there a while either way. Are we just making friends with the captain and ignoring all the other stuff we have to do? Why not?
Destination selected. Have a pleasant journey.
If it says I want to get a time machine and punch up the script and design boards. I mean, like, I said in my, like, Go Live tweet that, like, I feel like this is going to be, like, a cornerstone game for, like, future discussions about narrative games. I don't think it's the type of game that in and of itself will be like, oh, man, like, everyone's going to want to make their own Harold Halibut. But I think there will be people out there, like, dedicated to this space who'll be like, I would love to do a game like Harold Halibut, but... You know, like, Harold Halibut, like, but with gameplay, or with, like, a... focused narrative or whatever.
Hi there, Mr. 17. How's it going?
Fine and dandy, thanks. Not a care in the world.
Not even about Warren being back?
Nope. Absolutely least of all about Warren being back.
Great.
But if he expects to just waltz back into our lives after being away so long...
Maybe he's as nervous about seeing you all again as you are.
Not nervous. Not a care. Just like I said.
I forgot that I didn't put it on my soundboard because it's not one of the main Twitch channel point redemptions. But that guy earlier was definitely talking about wieners, like, for sure. And while we're on the subject of AI the Somnium Files, is this guy like Pewter's cousin? He just dresses like this in public. Like, what the heck?
Oh, Captain at Large. I mean, Zoya. Hello.
Hey, what's up, Harold? You having a great day?
This guy looks like he's about to lead the most confusing, like, Zumba class at all times.
Are you?
Heck yes! Just swell.
But it's just, you seemed so sad earlier.
Oh, that? That was just a little slump. I'm over it.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm over the whole thing, you know?
I'm gonna scuttle the ship with all of us on it.
No one needs me as captain, so I'm just gonna enjoy life. Do what I want.
I suppose that's fair enough. What will you do instead?
Who cares, right?
I suppose so. Right?
Right.
Man, this guy just has none personality.
Okay, well, I'm glad you
Charisma is Harold Halibut's dump stat. Sadly, all of his stats are dump stats. So, there's like a subplot where the captain's having an existential crisis for sure. The hairstyle is a choice. I think he basically has a similar experience to me trying to like find a flattering haircut, but he keeps showing everyone like a comic book panel of like Wolverine, and like that's what he got instead. Harold is Harry Dubois from Disco Elysium when he rolls all twos. See, I can't agree with that because like there's still, even with like most of his like most upsetting failures that I've witnessed, Harry Dubois still has like a weird kind of charm to him. It's like the only way that game functions. Like if he had like negative charisma in the way that Harold Halibut does, like that no one would like that game. Professor says, some pesky troublemaking youths left more graffiti on the lab wall again. Could you please clean it off? I mean, sure, I guess. So now we have deliver blood sample, clean graffiti, third task? Oh, talk with 24 and 8. Like, legitimately, well, one of them's at, the company floor, right? Probably. Where's the last guy? And also, do I care? These are important questions. How do we get to the company? It's probably from Central.
Destination determined. Now, relax with all water.
It says, side note, is this a race against the clock plot or a take your time to learn things plot?
You're here.
I think you may accidentally be conflating two ideas. What is happening with this guy?
Harold?
Are you okay,
hi,
dude?
Zoya. How are you enjoying your new freedom?
Yeah, so about that. After I told you who cares earlier, you know, I started to feel guilty. I do care, actually. I just wish I didn't care
This
so
isn't
much.
how characters develop, I want you to understand.
You have to care about something. I wish I cared more about
Based on
things
no
sometimes.
additional input, I've
just
changed
want
my
to do a
entire
good
way of
job.
thinking.
But I don't know what that is.
I know what you mean. I know what my job is, but actually, I don't always know what it really means to do it well.
So, I'm going to try and figure out how I can be useful.
Okay.
This is starting to feel more very
Thanks
British.
for listening, Harold. It
If
felt
nothing
good to
else, the phrasing.
Get that off my chest.
Same here.
Did we just become best friends?
Get what off your chest?
The same as... Don't worry, Zoya. I'm glad you're feeling a bit better.
Oh, okay. I best be off. Places to be.
Character's so confounding. To your question, Demolition, there's a distinction between story and mechanics, where, like, a game can very much be about a story that is a race against the clock. Meanwhile, you have limitless time to do it. See practically any adventure game ever in the history of time. But, like, you can have a game that's mechanically a race against the clock, and it may or may not have, like, exploration elements to it. Like Pikmin is a race against the clock that does have exploration in it. There are lots of games that are a race against the clock that don't. I think I should go to... Oh, utility's also over here. Oh, wait a minute. This is the other clone, isn't he? This is number 8 or whatever.
Hey, Mr. 8. How are you feeling now that Warren is back?
Fine. We knew he'd get bored of his gallivanting around eventually.
He was
I
talking
just hope
about
he's learned a
wieners
bit
the
more
whole time.
responsibility along the way.
Well, he seems to have his own business now. A mobile wieners restaurant.
Yes. Business.
Business.
I suppose maybe he is starting to settle down, even if he does have to carry his business with him.
Do you think you'll go see him?
Hectic schedule, you know. Perhaps I'll see him around.
Oh, okay.
Can sort of see why he didn't get along with his family, maybe. It says, protagonist from Disco Elysium has one of the strongest personalities I've seen in a video game. If he rolls poorly, it's never boring, no matter how you grow him or neglect his social stats. He's a strong character. Harold has less personality than a wet sock. Yeah, I feel like mentioning him in the same sentence as a wet sock is like an insult to the sock. I don't know. It's just, it's so hard for me to, like, articulate it in a way that doesn't feel like it's just taking a dig at the game, but, like, I feel like this style of game loses so much by having a bland protagonist. And, I maybe to some extent I'm biased because, like, historically, adventure games have almost, like, aggressively strong protagonist characters because, like, the protagonist of an adventure game tends to narrate their thoughts to you, and, like, even to the extent of, like, when you try a solution to a puzzle that doesn't work, the way they respond to that will usually like give you some sense of their character. And even though this isn't like truly an adventure game in the sense that it's not based on like puzzles or, you know, inventory mechanics, even for the most part, like I still feel like being narratively focused, they're in a similar sort of video game arena, and like it's so like night and day to me between the two. I'm not saying I need to hear Harold's every thought, but the fact that like he's just a conduit for like characters to express their own stuff, like I don't know, even if you had a game kind of like this, but the main character was like a therapist and it was like kind of making a statement about how people really just want to be heard or something like that, like you could do something with that. But it's just like the prevailing sense I get the more I play of this game is like they thought they had like a really colorful, fleshed out world like The Simpsons with all these side characters, but most of the characters aren't all that interesting in and of themselves. And then like leaving the main character, the thing that we spend the majority of the game interacting with, as a blank slate, means that like we got nothing to temper us when we don't like a majority of these characters or something. All water.
Location nominated. Journey commencing. All water.
He's all water.
You. Thank you for traveling with all water.
I mean, even like little things from the video game arena of like, is that rendering? Do you see like some glitching object? Oh, it's gone now. But like just the fact that like every time you get off of the water tube thing, like the game has some announcement that's like not as clever as they think it is. It's like, yeah, but now I'm gonna have to listen to that all the time, always. Does this guy count as one of the brothers?
Welcome. I am All-Water Automated Secretary number 1. How may I assist your all-water related learning?
Bye.
The all-water course.
I kind of forgot this one was like a poorly generated hologram or whatever. So I don't know where to find the last one. For what I think is sort of a side quest. If Captain Zoya is here, can I like mess up the joint? Can I like go upstairs and like hit the self-destruct button? I really want like a hold music loop, but I don't know how to find one that's not like proprietary. I tried doing some searches various times in the past, but it's surprisingly difficult to find something as vague as that. Doesn't seem like I can do much here, huh? I probably should check the consoles a little more carefully, but frankly, I don't know what's happening. Which is to say nothing but slowly. So I think out of, like, spite, we should probably do our main task for today last. So I'm missing Secretary 24. I have no idea where that person is, to my knowledge. We've been in a lift that has lift music. Frankly, it's not a very popular concept nowadays, but like, it's like a meme. It's like a cartoon style reference. It's almost more important to me than the concept of reality.
All water. Moving people every day.
This tube system makes no sense to me. I think I mentioned this last time. But like, it just makes a little puddle and then launches you anyway. It doesn't seem like you need to reach a critical mass of liquid or whatever, which would justify pouring goop all over you. So it just seems like that's to have a laugh at your expense or something.
Oh no, Sonny's here. Hi, Sonny.
Harold! Well, hello, it's been a while.
He
So
said
how's
that out
life
loud,
after
right?
Sunny? What have you got for me?
Oh, it's, different. But okay. Same old. Just as you...
God, God almighty.
And just this... Can you run an analysis?
Same old Harold. Sure thing.
So
hand it over and I'll take it for a ride in the QT.
The what now?
The
The
QT.
QT.
The quick test, silly.
Yeah.
I assume he's meant to have a crush on this
still
woman
hanging
whose
out with her
earrings
dad?
defy reality.
Yeah, sometimes. Same old Cyrus, huh?
This is
Reckon
Cyrus's
QT won't
daughter?
be much longer.
It
Seems
only
weird.
takes a minute.
How long has it been?
Like a few seconds at the most. Anyway, don't you have something you want to ask me?
Does she have an apron with no,
okay.
like, straps on it?
What have you been up to since then?
Oh, I must stop you there, Harold. Looks like the QT's all done. Let me just see. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's interesting.
I'm sure it's nothing. Really,
It seems to
just-
have provided the
I'll
flap
be
of a
going.
cardboard
Hey,
box,
not so
perhaps a
fast,
cereal
Jim.
box.
This sample has definitely been taken from something odd, cool, or on a very radical cocktail of drugs. Spill
Could
the
be all
beans.
three.
I really can't. I have to get back.
To your new alien friend?
Why
What?
did we come here to do
No,
this
Nothing like that.
if we didn't care
Just,
about the results and
an
didn't want other people to know about it?
Fish. Cyrus made.
Don't
a
say
new
that her dad
fish,
did something. She could
but
just ask
it
it.
lost some blood when it accidentally got its fin
God.
trapped in a
I
filter.
want him to stop.
Ah, Dad is always so boring about hybridization theory. I don't even want to know. So, you need an aquatic craniate blood replacement, huh?
Yes, exactly. It's a valuable specimen, and it was kind of my fault.
I'm thinking a solution of granulocytes and sodium chloride-rich plasma should do the trick. I think we've got some left in the cooler. Yep, here we go.
Thank you, Sonny.
No worries. Peace.
Why on Fedora is this the place you would go to test blood? I don't know, like my brain is struggling to process everything that just happened there. Like the super not casual, not romance. Why is this place called Fedora? It's the name of the spaceship. We're on like a sunken spaceship, more or less. But yeah, I mean, like we mentioned before, sort of cutely, like there is like a laboratory district with a science lab that we basically live in that has like scientific equipment. And like the scientist who runs that scientific laboratory wanted a test done. And so we took it to like the corner drugstore. And then she's like, don't let anyone know about it. But like that process requires letting someone know about it. And then of course Harold, having no spine or will of his own, like is immediately like, well, the test results I came here for don't matter at all. Bye. And she's like, no, isn't your fish gonna die? And he's like, oh yeah. By the way, some easily verifiable lie about your dad. Like, I don't... ugh. There's a post office, and yet I do the job that I do?
Hi there, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
How's the
Oh,
mail
we did
life
see this
treating
guy
you?
before.
Oh, it's great. Can't complain. But, you know, not quite as spry as I used to be.
Oh, is everything okay?
Thank you for asking, Harold. I
Ricketts.
mustn't grumble. Plenty have it worse. What have you been up to today?
Just trying to make myself useful. How about you? No deliveries today?
Nope. I'm all caught up.
Just literally packages behind
I'm
you.
spending a little time with my treasure trove.
Oh, what kind of treasure?
Ah, old undelivered letters.
Okay, that also
looking
feels
at
like
them
something
makes
that
me
means
feel
you're not
giddy.
caught up.
But why couldn't you deliver them?
Oh, believe me, I tried.
Not very hard, mind
There's
you.
this archaic little Fedora mail delivery protocol, stating that mail may only be handed over if the addressee takes receipt in person. And if the addressee is not present, they must collect the mail from the post office within a 12-day span.
And
So,
then?
couldn't you leave them a note?
I thought of that. But a reminder slip is technically classified as mail.
That's a massive oversight to having the system function properly.
So, this is mail that you couldn't remind people about within 12 days of the first delivery.
Almost. You see, for the postman to attempt in-person receipt of a reminder slip, they must also have new additional mail to deliver to the same recipient. Else, Article 27B/6 classifies it as a personal interruption of duty, and is therefore forbidden while that postman holds his office.
It's a really pronounced vein in that dude's arm.
Deliver the reminder slip after your working hours?
You see, I considered that. But Appendix 11 staff...
This honest to God feels like the game is making fun of me. This is British AF. Yeah, I'll give you that, but like... They have to know what they're doing, right?
States that information gleaned by a postman on duty must never be used for personal gain. And so, technically, once I'm off duty, I'm not supposed to even know that I want to deliver a reminder slip.
Oh.
That doesn't make terribly much sense, but okay.
While I occupy this hallowed office, it would breach regulations for me to deliver them. Or to think too much about them, even on a personal level. So... there they sit.
Is he flirting with me?
It makes me sad, thinking about all those messages going undelivered. Even reading them is forbidden under Subarticle 7N... Oh... Now that I think about it, related to 7N is the footnote addendum 7N 3 degrees, which states, if I remember correctly, that such mail can be read, but only in the presence of another all-water employee.
Oh, great. Moreau doesn't think of herself as one, but she's an all-water employee. You could ask her.
Or, since you are her assistant, you're technically an employee as well. So why don't you come in here? I'll open the door. It's the one on your right. And let's finally take a little look at these forbidden fruits, shall we?
Oh, okay. I'll take a look for sure.
And by gum, it'll be good to finally get them home.
It's gonna be saucy adult doodles, isn't it? He said he was going to open a door, right? Does he mean this one all the way over here? He was pointing very much as though he was going to, like, open the wall next to him. As though it were a door. I feel like I need an adult. Do I need an adult?
What have we got here?
What have we here? What have we here?
When the ship crashed, I half wondered if life as we knew it would collapse in on itself as well. It seemed like the pressure of the ocean surrounding us was pressing through the ship's hull, through to my very soul. And I wondered how any of us, would find a new way to keep going on, even though our home itself had entered stasis. Then I realized something. Maybe it was slowing down, reconsidering my lot in life and on the ship. I realized that I loved you. That I want to love you.
That's weird.
I know you will assure me I'm being foolish, and that you want me to have full happiness, and that said happiness couldn't possibly lie with you. But it does. Now, more than ever, we must look within. And I give thanks to whatever celestial whim sent the Fedora tumbling down, for it has given rise to my understanding of what is really important. Arna, whether you love me back in the same way, just know I am, and will always be, happy to love you. Forever, you know who.
It looks
wow,
like...
whoever wrote that experienced the crash.
They sure did.
It's been more than 12 days.
And loved through it. Do you think they ended up telling Anna in person?
I hope so.
I feel like a love that clear would have shined out in person.
Maybe
no, I think there were regulations preventing that sort of fraternization.
Perhaps. But something tells me that Anna had someone that loved her unconditionally. So either way, she was a lucky
He's too
girl.
close to my face.
Buddy, didn't you live through the crash too?
Sure did, bucko. Hell of
I
a
also
thing.
used to be a woman named Arna.
Whoever wrote that love-struck letter was right. Everyone certainly had to readjust. I guess that's when I really grew up and started being interested in people, not just...
Not just...
nothing I want to burden you with.
Oh, okay.
Tell you what, though. Why don't you come back tomorrow, and we can see what else is in here?
Okay, sure. That sounds fun. Laters, buddy.
Later's plural, buddy. I mean, both of us kind of have nothing going on, but sure, we could belay this. Do I have control? Hello? That's so weird. I had to hold that for, like, kind of a long time to show up again. It's not the first time this game has done that. I don't know why. We got wieners. We got love letters. Why did we walk around? So he could get uncomfortably close to our face. Next question. Echo says, so a bunch of boring rules means the postman couldn't deliver these letters that could very easily fit through a letterbox. But there aren't any rules about him going through people's posts and reading personal letters? Incorrect. There were also boring rules about those, but he cited some loophole that said as long as it had been, like, outside of the window of 12 days in which it was meant to be delivered and read in the presence of an employee of the Allwater Corporation, then it is within regulations to do that. I was paying attention, even though it felt even to me like I wasn't. You think someone's showering in here?
Hello?
What's the password?
Wieners. I'll try my luggage combination.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Bad luck. No dice. Don't bother us again.
I was kind of hoping they would shoot me. Save scum. I'm pretty sure this is one of those cases where none of those available options will work. I have to, like, find it in the story and bring it back. What do I need to do still? Just graffiti? Graffiti and take that crap back? Unless anyone happens to know where that last clone guy is. I think that's all we really got going on.
All water compliments
I have to
you on
say,
your choice of destination.
I feel like in the real world, I can understand the logistics of this janky elevator system where certain floors lead to certain other floors, but there's not like a central column or whatever. For a video game experience, it feels needlessly tedious. It's like exactly the sort of thing I feel very comfortable hand-waving for a video game, like, gameplay experience to be improved. It feels to me, it doesn't help my appreciation of the reality of the world or alleged immersion to have to do everything the dumbest possible way. What does the candle tube do? Does this say anything? It appears to be closed. It doesn't look any different, but it appears to be closed.
Travel in style with all water.
Like I says, honestly, I'm impressed you paid attention to everything he said. It sounds patronizing, but it isn't meant to be. I appreciate that. It's one of my only skills. I will say, it took more conscious effort than normal. I'm not sure if that's because it's Friday late in the day. I'm always at my best when streaming, of course. Or because of the game and the way it presents itself. With great power comes great responsibility. That's just Spider-Man. There's no, like, joke or reference. It's just, like, literally, hey, we also recognize Spider-Man. Wink.
More graffiti. With great power comes great responsibility.
Maybe this means we'll be bitten by a
Makes sense, I
spider.
suppose. But I wish they'd think of who has responsibility for cleaning. It's taking me great power to get it off.
No, it's not. If you watch the play for 5 minutes, there's an achievement for it. Yeah, in no way does that surprise me. That's sort of what I figured you were angling for earlier, Demolition. At the same time, generally I'm not a fan of those types of trophy achievement things that are just like, do a specific type of tedium and you get a prize that means nothing. Some games pull it off well, but like a lot of the time it's just like, or I could not. Do you like the very fluid motion? Did I do a doodle? Where's sad face with arrow home? But that's not what the message said. Oh, hang on. It's the captain again. Would you like to have lunch with me at the restaurant in the arcades? I'm on my way there. I feel like this guy is like sadder and more desperate than I am. No different than missions that are like kill 200 of X thing when they spawn 3 at a time. Yeah, those aren't great. I mean, those are barely palatable in like, you know, like online service games where you play every day. Even there, they're like tedious and not great. You know what? I think I actually, as insane as it sounds, the brothers thing is the most interesting of all the available sub-stories. So, like, tell me where... I think 24 is the one I need. I'd love to go do that. Also, ahoy letters. Welcome to the stream and thank you for the raid. Have one of these. I see that you were playing Marvel Snap before. I haven't... Like, I watched a lot of content when that first came out. I don't know how that's changed over time. If I noticed that correctly, I hope you enjoyed the experience. It was warm-up for Slay the Spire. Ah. I remember seeing you play Slay the Spire recently. Did they do an update? Also, I haven't been keeping up with that recently. Let's see. Go to the restaurant in the arcade. Well, I could do that now. Is that related to where the guy is? 24 is in the all but... Oh, of course. That's fair. I probably should have been able to tell that. Let's do that first, in case the other one, like, ends the day or something. Oh, that's right. They did announce a Slay the Spire 2. Coming soon, TM.
You've arrived.
That is interesting. I forgot about that.
Before leaving.
I don't actually know how to get back to that holding room. I should. I had to do it at the start of the game. I'll say this. As negative as this will come across, I hope that Slay the Spire 2 is more exciting to me than Darkest Dungeon 2. Because, as evidenced by the particular shirt I'm wearing, absolutely huge fan of Darkest Dungeon 1. Not remotely interested in Darkest Dungeon 2. Bums me out.
Destination decided. Enjoy the view.
Still working on the original game, beat Ascension 9 for the first time. I think my highest is still 7. I got hung up on...
Please exit the
I think Defect is the one I'm furthest behind on.
We hope you travel with us again soon.
Like, I think I could get further with some of the other ones, but, like, I'm pretty bad with Defect and Watcher. Like, I kind of just don't like Watcher. Defect, for whatever reason, just, like, never seems to go well for me. One of the achievements is watching the Turkish soap opera for 10 minutes. I think I did actually spot that somewhere. But it says, I can see Darkest Dungeon is a good game objectively, but it's too depressing for me. That's pretty fair. I mean... Like, not to say that's an invalid take. I'm not sure I would say it's depressing. It's certainly, like, dark. But, like... almost in a tongue-in-cheek way, the way that the, like, adventurers are sort of aware of how, like, grim everything is. Yet they keep going. I mean, there's, like, consequences to existing. It's pretty rough. Got too attached by people. That's, you know what? When you frame it that way, that's extremely fair. I think it's very normal to get too attached to your people, and if you do, that can be a pretty rough experience. I don't know. Darkest Dungeon is definitely the type of game where, like, before I ever played it, I like watched a decent amount of like other people do it and was like, I enjoy this too much and I have to do it for myself. And when I did, I already had like a pretty good handle on like mechanics, so I didn't find that I died like crazy often, which I think is a lot of people's introductory experience with the game.
Mr. 24, me again.
Mr. Halibut, please take a seat.
Oh,
in order
thank
to
you,
talk?
but I'm not stopping.
A not inconsiderable mercy.
I just wanted to make sure you knew that Warren is back around.
I have been informed, yes.
And how do you feel about
He
it?
was talking
As you
about
can
wieners
see,
in public.
I'm on duty, and it is not therefore appropriate to feel anything about, or to discuss said non-existent feelings about personal matters, I'm afraid.
Yeah, these are the dialogue lines that make
Fair
me
enough.
agree with the comments
I
about how
hope when
British
you're
this
done for
game
the day,
feels.
You can look forward to seeing him again.
Thank you for your concern, Mr. Halibut. I will bear it in mind during my evening personal feeling evaluation session.
Do we have a, Oh, now we talk to Warren. That's fun. Sure, we could do that. You'd say Darkest Dungeon is melodramatic. That's pretty fair too, I think. Which it says, if he's already informed, why do we need to do this? There's a lot of farce seemingly involved with this game. Like all the dungeoneers that you're attached to go into these dungeons and go crazy just because your uncle is way too greedy. It definitely gets worse than that. It turns out it's not simple greed. I won't spoil it, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a big fan, so I'm pretty biased. Honestly, one thing that I will always say about Darkest Dungeon is that I actually like greatly appreciate the sanity mechanics in that game because they're structured in a way that like helped me to come to terms with like dealing with my own like mental health as a resource in a way that like I couldn't do before playing Darkest Dungeon. Like simply having a video game like acknowledge that it was a resource and thus making me like view it as a resource has actually been like tremendously valuable for myself as a person. So like it's another reason why I just hold the game in high esteem. I know it's probably not a normal or reasonable outcome of playing that like very grim video game, but like to me, I really appreciated that. So you're going, like, everything we want to do is at the arcade, basically.
Destination selected. Have
Get
a
in the
pleasant
tube.
journey and a fantastic day. You may now exit the tube. Thank you on
Get
behalf
out of the tube.
Allwatch Corporation for choosing to travel with us today.
I think these people ran out of travel currency. They're just kind of sleeping here now.
Destination determined. Now, relax with all water.
Now relax in the slimy tube that will threaten to drown you temporarily.
You're here. Thank you for choosing all water tubes.
So, like, do they die now? I mean, considering the level of bureaucracy we've seen, I'm gonna say yes. Probably yes. Think they're all dead now. Oh, look, he's sort of functioning on the stairs now. Something he was incapable of doing earlier. To my enjoyment.
At your service.
I hope you don't mind, but I spoke to your secretary brothers and I was curious about how you felt about it all.
Those sticks
I
in
was
the
curious
mud.
about how you felt about the
can
concept,
imagine
about
what
how they felt
said.
about the concept of what you're doing.
But there's no bad omelette where I'm concerned. Sure, I was the, how do you say?
The even one out?
Like odd, but even, because I was the fourth. That's hilarious.
Okay.
But, you know, I don't
No one's ever accused me of
understand
that
the whole
before.
feud thing. I can't even remember when it really started. It's a trifle annoying.
Was it when
but
we
soon
were
as
playing
they're ready to
Family
relax
Feud
a bit,
together?
they
I
know
think I
where
wandered
am.
into our cutscene. Did we do it? Did we do it? technically still have a mission to talk to 8. 8 is the one in the terminal, I think. If I talk to him again, will that be satisfied, even though I already talked to him today about, like, the second step of that? I know I have to do the restaurant. I just want to, like... kind of want to see if this is functioning or if the flag is broken or whatever.
Location nominated. Journey commencing. All water thanking you. Thank you for traveling with all water.
It is true, Neko, that while I found the contextualization of sanity as resource from Darkest Dungeon very helpful, not all lessons from that game translate one-to-one to real life, including the awareness that reading a book might give you syphilis.
Mr. Secretary 8?
How can I be of assistance?
I wanted to know...
Was that a draft? Do you think it's a bit drafty in here?
I think we'd all be drowning if that was true.
I suppose. Do you?
Yes, now that you mention it.
I did.
I know that clear airflow is important, but a surreptitious draft can wreak havoc. We'd all do well to insulate ourselves against such pernicious puffs.
You really dislike draughts, huh?
I'm convinced they're responsible for most,
Wow,
if
that was
not
read like an
all,
American.
of the maladies aboard the ship. A cold, unexpected breeze plays havoc with one's homeostasis, which can throw the lymph system into overdrive. And that's when the illness strikes.
Okay. I didn't realize you took all this so seriously. I'll make sure to watch out for any sudden breezes.
It's like the most judgmental Harold's been all game. I appreciate that Letters, who is essentially just got here, immediately has the comment, drafty. Oh dear, very British. It's pretty British in here, yeah. We've had some run-ins with Britishness and cues and regulations and whatnot. So, can I just, like, never accomplish this task? Is that, Or wait a minute. Yeah, Secretary 17 said this guy would tell me something, and he didn't, and he won't. Alright, it probably doesn't matter. I think it may technically be a broken flag keeping me from getting, like, an achievement or something, but I'm not actually sure that I care. To the restaurant!
Moving people every day.
Like I says, while the voice acting is definitely British, the writing is German, and they're known for being dry and humorless.
We know
yeah, that explains me. Half German.
Water. You're welcome.
Ooh, apparently that corner of the world doesn't exist. That door is very funny. So the restaurant's up top, right? It's clearly distinct from the bar. No, he's at the soup place. He's at the soup store. Why is he buying clothes at the soup store? Actually, considering his wardrobe, this makes sense.
Buon appetito.
Ah, Harold. I'm glad I saw you.
Oh, what's up?
Look, I just wanted to say thank you for helping me realize something.
Having the weirdest
That's
romance.
Okay, really. But what did I help you realize? And how?
Well, I've been doing some soul searching. What I realized is this is going to be a long process. Whether take off again or not, I've got to come to terms with what I want. As much as what I think other people want me to be.
That sounds wise. Nice. But how did I help?
I guess you were just there. There aren't many people I can talk to.
Boy, if anything summarizes the game in one sentence.
Thanks.
No, I didn't mean like that. You're not a Jimmy Judger, you know? You seem
Sure
to
heard me
just
react to that
accept.
draft.
I try.
So now, just accept my thanks. And good luck with your own search.
Oh, you did hear that.
Yeah. We'll both get it figured out one of these days, eh?
I hope so. Well, enjoy your meal. Be seeing you.
I like that he invited us to the restaurant. And it's like implied that he was going to treat us to something, but he just kind of talked at us. I mean, it's kind of the whole game, huh? Is he eating with those gloves on? Yeah, you should have seen him making that animation about answering emails earlier. That's right. Most of you don't actually know Homestar Runner that well. We learned that when we were playing the Rumisode Triangulate. How humorless can it be? His name is Harold Halibut. I feel like that is a humorous surname because it's a fish. I agree, Letters. And yet, after what I think amounts to about like 5.5 or 6 hours of gameplay, roughly at this point, we've made most of our own humor. Think we're just gonna go talk to our boss about blood? Unless we encounter a lead on that bird, which I don't know when or if that happens. I like this background music. As a reminder to those of you who may have just joined us, the music slider in this game does not control music. No one knows what it does. It doesn't control music. Just in case it does something, I'm going to set that back to 5. Oh, hang on. Control stick does not function well with this particular menu. I don't know what I had this at. Probably 10. Everyone's super quiet. Nico says, I really hoped you would be a fish when I was told the name of the game. Just watch this guy for 5 minutes and you understand. I doubt Harold has so much as smiled once in his life, or even frowned. He makes the color gray seem exciting. Oh, I love these savage, like, British burns about mediocrity, straight from the source. I love it, Neko. Big fan. So I must go to the lab district, where I now live in a self-imposed closet for the sake of an alien fish that we found earlier, and have done little to help.
All water.
Again, very lucky that we, like, happened to conveniently have, like, an IV stand set up when the solution to the fish's problem turned out to be, like, an IV drip. That are, like, love interests provided for us.
Please remember, the all-water tube system will shortly be closing for the night. Get snug, not stranded.
Ah, finally. It really shouldn't be possible to get stranded easily enough that there has to be a nightly reminder not to get stranded. Just feels like poor planning, frankly. Okay, guess I'll interact with the fish instead of the stand where I would expect to put it, and it causes that to happen anyway.
Okay, let's get you rehydrated. Oh, Fishy, Sunny is so tiring. Why does she need to know everything? And why does she make it so hard to answer?
Character.
I should just ignore her, or make stuff up. She's so clever, but she doesn't really listen anyway. Does she even care what I've been doing? I know. I'll bombard her with questions. She won't expect that.
Yeah, she's gonna like that idiot.
I'll ask her what she really found out after years of traveling. Or I'll ask her what she ever saw in me. Or I'll ask her whether she's finally impressed now that I've discovered a new species. Well, maybe not that. Anyway, enough about me. How are you doing? How are you finding that new blood? Too bad you can't tell me. But by tomorrow morning, we should know.
Well, then it's gonna turn into like a slasher movie, and it's just gonna eat us.
Time to get some sleep. Night, Fishy.
I'm, like, genuinely kind of concerned that Harold Halibut might be too stupid to understand the nature of human relationships. So, his dialogue there implied that he had, like, a past relationship with Sunny, whereas the way he interacted with her made it seem like he had a crush and, like, didn't know how to interact with her. But, like, he's just, like, mad that she has, like, a passing interest in how his life is going. Like, God, no wonder, like... No wonder you don't have any friends or interests or do anything that's noteworthy. And this is coming from me. Boss kind of just, like, wandered off, huh? Just no further interaction with her for the rest of the day?
What a day. I can't believe this is happening. And to me. Tomorrow, I'll get those antibiotics and I won't let Sonny get to me.
Well,
right.
Maybe half of that is true.
Night-night, Harold. Night, Fishy.
Can't afford blankets here in space. Tick. I think we'll try to get one more day in. We'll see where we're at from there. Task. Missed missives. To do. Check Fishy's condition. Wonder how Fishy's doing. Buddy told me yesterday that there's more letters. Oh, it's just go to the post office. Some people just sleep without any blankets. I don't trust them. Distinctly remember on like a season of the reality show Big Brother like 1,000 years ago, there's like an older guy who's like formerly in the military who like adamantly wouldn't sleep with a blanket because he was like concerned it would like slow him a fraction of a second in case someone tried to like kill him in his sleep. Always stuck with me because it's like that seems like an unfortunate and unhinged way to live the entire rest of your life. So, no change, huh?
Hello again, my alien fish bud. Let's
Is
see
it
how
bad
you
that
do.
I'm rooting for this thing to eat Harold?
Not so good, huh? You're starting
Yeah,
to
more or
learn
less. When you have PTSD but haven't worked it out at all.
was wrong. Or something is infected? Or maybe you need some special
Not enough
kind
pineapple.
of fishy food. I'm guessing the stuff Cyrus makes isn't going to work on you.
I mean, I
If this
can't imagine
temperature
it's
keeps
helping
up,
to
I'm
have
gonna
not
need
fed
to-
them for an entire 24-hour period.
That means another trip to see Sunny and her questions. I promise you, I won't get so flustered by her this time, though.
My
Stay
guy,
calm, Harold.
the
It's
unconscious
just Sunny.
fish doesn't care about your
You don't have
social
to worry
drama.
about impressing her anymore. You see, Fishy? I'm okay, aren't I? You're a good listener. Maybe that's why. I wonder if you can hear me. Not that you'd understand me. Maybe the sound of my voice is calming. Or terrifying. Oh God, I hope I'm not freaking you out and you can't tell me to stop. Twitch if I'm freaking you out. Okay, good. Off I go.
I feel like I asked this yesterday, but Neko raises the excellent point of, if it's a fish, why isn't it in water? I mean, it's currently not in water because it got caught in the station ship filtration system, and we removed it from there. But yeah, you would think that we would keep it in some kind of fish tank instead of not feeding it and leaving it in like a humid room devoid of actual water. Like if you did that to a normal fish, it'd be reasonably dead by now. You just activate under a light. Yeah, that's probably not helping. I don't know, he keeps putting my shelf away. So I guess I should go check the mail. Much like Quern, which we'll be playing tomorrow. Where is that? Social no, utility district. So I have to go through the other thing.
Style with all water.
The like ambient music in the arcade
Unsatisfactory
sounds like
journey
this
for some reason?
the jingle for this
Just
like ad
contact
I
your
keep seeing in
nearest
one of the
Pokemon,
mobile games I
and
play.
all water will make it up to you.
Do you have new dialogue / old dialogue that I can
Hey,
flag
number
correctly?
8. May I help you?
No, the answer to that is no.
Destination chosen. We hope you enjoy your all-water tube system journey.
There's a different person sleeping on the bench now. I assume the couple from yesterday have been executed.
Have you checked your pockets before leaving?
The fact that it promised me to check my pockets
Fancy sitting down to another
makes it sound like we just came off the cone of tragedy and Sam and Max hit the road. The door's already open. That doesn't seem like a violation of some code of conduct or whatever.
Shall we check out the next letter?
Ready when you are.
My little star.
This is taped on.
Adela, sorry for not having delivered the following letter in time. I've enclosed the last remaining physical memento of your mother. It's not much, but I figure it's best you have it. Maybe you'll find some insight into your parents that will make you happy. Or give me less of a hard time.
Dearest, I will be back soon, but in the meantime, the supply shuttle has promised to deliver you a little hello, wish you were here. I didn't have much time to write. They only brought me a new pen with supplies and we're going back fast. So please find enclosed some of my logbook entries, made when I had the old pen. So you know what I've been getting up to and can imagine me
I like
better.
that the game felt the need to clarify the color might be different.
Can't wait to see your face. Be good.
There wasn't a comma there. I thought it was saying, can't wait to see your face be
Atmosphere isn't
good.
great, but not too toxic. We're able to have brief periods with no helmet and equipment doesn't degrade too fast. First expedition
Periods with no
tomorrow.
helmet? That sounds like we shouldn't be doing.
Day 2. Everywhere, this ankle-deep liquid. Rocky outcrops, the exception not norm, it seems. Built-out temp quarters on little stilts. It's a great color. Has this rippling sheen like an oil slick, but smells of something like pleasant soap. Not a lot else to see, to be honest. Looking forward to a proper bath already. Day 4. Quasi-climate seems to have enabled multitude of tiny life forms inhabiting this shallow permapuddle. You can't really see them, but they give the surface of the water this impression of fizzing. Missing B already. Sure he's enjoying the chance to sit around in underwear and not shave. Lonely here during the long nights. Have intense craving to finish that puzzle we started. B better not have finished it while I'm gone.
Amazing. She was on a planetary expedition?
Yep. There was only a couple in my time on the move, but apparently they were more common before I was born.
Trying to find a new Earth?
Yeah, but mostly it was obvious it wasn't going to be. But every now and then, one would be worth checking out, in case we could learn or get some supplies from it. I'd always hoped to get to go on one.
Oh, yeah. Must be cool to discover a new landscape. What would you do if you met an alien?
I would have made great friends with it, shared the secrets of humanity, and then challenged it to a race.
You're a weird guy.
Have told people about it?
I suppose so.
Seems like a
Would have
very
been a
weird
bit
question to
selfish of me
ask.
to keep that kind of thing to myself.
Even if... No, never mind.
You know, being down here is kind of just like an extra long exploration mission when you think about it. There might still be so much to learn down here.
Ah, yes. Who knows?
Chin up, Harold. I'm sure you'll discover plenty of excitement yet.
How many hours in do you think that'll happen? Oh, sure, let's do another one.
Do you have time for another one?
Of course.
Right. Next one. Let's have a look.
Cease and desist. Date redacted. Certified by All Water
Seems
Secretary 57. FAO, Ms. Novelcorp. Subject, AWC
Miss
file number
Novelcorp?
97-68-203-1.
Absolutely not. Redact that.
It has come to the attention of the All Water Department for unauthorized corporate activity that there has been unauthorized corporate activity concerning
Nani?
Ms. Novelcorp. If that is
You can't
your
say
real
that on
name,
Twitch.
Resident at 72 Plaza Row, also known and potentially trading, also unauthorized, as Mr. Prancifran, Dr. Comfort, and the like, concerning an unlicensed taxi service via Minisub. Despite your public adverts, which you will be contacted separately
It's
about,
the postman
no
putting
doubt
on voices
by
to read
your
each letter.
Department for
God, I wish that was
Authorised
true.
Advertising activity, claiming that your Minisub service is more comfortable, luxurious, and reliable than official AW tubes. Such a service is in fact unreliable and dangerous. Therefore, we must firstly insist you cease and desist all mini-sub taxi operations. Secondly, you must apply for a permit to operate a mini-sub, and a review of our files show that no permit has been issued or indeed applied for. Frankly, we do not see it as likely that you would be issued a permit if indeed you had, or if and when you do, apply for one.
This goes on for quite a lot longer.
Looks like old Knobbly Corb gave them the runaround. Must have
You
been the wrong
can't keep
address.
saying that.
All
Someone
water
censor
don't
them.
like people not following the rules, huh?
No, sirree, they do not.
But I bet
Well,
you would
they're the
never
ones
take
who
one
make
of
the
those
rules,
taxis.
so-
Novelcorp sounds like a real renegade.
Oh, you know me.
I thought so. You're so
So it says read
disciplined
all
and-
of it, Harold.
There
Pretty
may
sure
have
that's where
been
most of the
a
game's runtime
couple of
comes from.
times when I had a real short delivery window, or I just wanted a change of scenery.
Wow, really?
Just goes to show. People are always capable of surprising you.
Not
We might
Harold.
not always know why people do things, but they usually have their reasons. Novelcorp certainly did. Say, I haven't seen her for a while now that I think about it.
So
May have
that
died in
was
a
her
mini
real
sub
name?
accident.
Oh, it was her favorite at least. Just like I was her...
Her what?
Nothing to
Favorite
trouble you with. Just getting
platonic
lost in
post
reminiscing.
person.
Anyway, let's call it a day. But come back if you want to keep going down memory lane.
Okay, buddy. Be seeing you.
What is this? The Prisoner? No, wait. The Prisoner is super dry, but like way funnier than this. Even though it's not a comedy. He said I should come back if I wanted to like do more, but I guess not so much. Who is number one? I'm looking for information. I think like right before the pandemic hit, I had just like happened to be watching The Prisoner. I had seen very little of it when I was younger, and like I think it was someone on the Glass Cannon podcast was talking about it, and I was like, oh man, I actually remember liking that, and never got around to watching it because at the time it was kind of like obscure and hard to find in the US, but like streaming on like Amazon Prime or something, so I just like watched it, and it's really weird, but I still enjoy it. Ask Sunny for help. It's gonna be awkward, but I'm gonna have to ask Sunny if she can help with Fishy's condition. Yeah, I think I just like can't ever clear this flag. I don't know if it matters, but it annoys me. Oh man, Jiggy says I watched it when I had when my parents had the Netflix DVDs. You know, I was never a subscriber to Netflix during the era when DVDs were like their mainstay. Obviously, they were like technically part of the service until like relatively recently. I don't know exactly when they cut that, like a year, maybe 2 ago. But like that's pretty cool. I mean, my family used to do stuff like that, like just renting stuff from the local Blockbuster. That's how we ended up watching that terrible movie, The Weight of Water, that I can't not recommend enough. It's like super weird. It's like 2/3 trying to be a horror movie, but it's like tied together with this confusing story of just like white people on a boat where nothing happens. And then in the end, they're like, I don't know, Puritans or maybe witches. Don't think about it. And then it just kind of ends. It's not a good movie.
Sonny? I need some antibiotics.
What for?
Me?
Oh, yes, your strange life form. How's the condition of it? Has it undergone any unexpected metamorphosis?
No, just the expected
noticed.
kind.
It really is just a fish, and...
Displays of aposematism?
Not lately? Sonny, I don't have long. Can you please just...
I'm not just supposed to hand these out, you know.
I know, but the professor, and it has a fever.
Well, take these. They should reduce temperatures and fever symptoms. And I hope you get better soon. Not that you should be taking fish medication.
I appreciate it. So...
I just want to feel something, Sonny. Dang.
This? It's the new novel from Montmorency Spengler from the Physical Expression District.
Montmorency Spengler?
Treatise on the Fedora
No.
post-scarcity politics.
Is it good?
You know, it's
We are not
better than his last
post-scarcity.
one. Oh, Harold, we should start a book club.
Maybe? Anyway,
We're on an alien planet with limited resources and we use
Do keep me
currency.
posted,
We're not
Harold. For
post-scarcity.
old time's sake.
Thanks, Sonny. I will.
I wasn't sure if fish could get fevers either. That sounded plausible, but it's definitely the sort of thing that my idiot brain immediately questions because I don't know squat about fish. She flirting with Harold? I think she's supposed to be. I don't know if you saw that scene, Jakey, but there was like a conversation between Harold and unconscious alien fish where he strongly implied that like we had a past relationship. So like I don't really know what the vibe is supposed to be because I thought it was supposed to be like he is an idiot and she kind of thinks he's cute because she's like, I don't know, severely brain damaged or something, but like he didn't get it. But then like later on he was like, what did she ever see in me? I'm like, what? How are you physically capable of being in a relationship? I feel like you're not able to consent to that due to your own severe brain damage. You're just was busy pouring coffee. Yes, I'm drinking coffee this late. I'm not here to judge. Also, I don't always think those details through as someone who doesn't drink coffee. So you definitely could have gotten that one past me. Also, you know, time zones exist. What am I mean, it's the only thing I have to do to go help the fish? Be uncharacteristic. But maybe?
Destination decided. Enjoy the view.
Because it's only 4 a.m. Still early. Yeah. It's like a totally normal time to drink coffee if you're starting your day at 4 a.m.
Please exit the tube in an orderly manner.
It's a side note about Netflix DVDs. I think we still have some around here somewhere. Do you have some sense of which DVDs they would be? Considering the way that ended, I'm not surprised that they didn't make some effort to get them back. They're just like, I don't care. I'm gonna check in on the arcade real quick, just out of vague interest, but like I think maybe this is supposed to be a short day or something.
Have a pleasant journey and a fantastic day. You may now exit the tube. Thank you on behalf of the All-Water Corporation for choosing
I don't like this corner that doesn't exist. Is that true, Jakey? I thought my understanding was that they like had finally fully divested themselves of physical DVDs. Jakey says you can still get them, but you have to be in rural areas with no broadband and have to prove it. I mean, like, I understand on some level that, you know, like, that's a portion of the market that they might still hope to tap into, but, like, I think they just, like, didn't want the overhead costs of, like, shipping and whatever, so they were just finally like, we're all streaming. I think this lady's been here watching this play for, like, a whole day. I think she got the achievement. Oh, that's really funny. You have to get like a combined 5 minutes of watching the play. And I had apparently done the majority of that in my previous times here. So like 10 seconds after standing here, I got the achievement. Or so that's how I choose to interpret that. Anyway. Intercom Oasis. We're named for that
Tommy, how's it going?
business.
Harold, what's new?
Nothing, I'm very dull. Nothing new with him either, I suppose. I forgot about these signs. Soap kelp, pop buns. I like soda and I like bread. I'm not sure I want pop buns. Can I talk to this guy about wieners?
Warren?
How's Slippy doing? His business has been closed for 2 days.
Fame, no less.
What's the gourmet scene around the ship like at the moment?
Good question. Cherry
No, it's not.
Bottlestop is the real authority,
Who
of course.
made these names?
But I would say things are looking pretty innovative. Even old school hangouts like Charlie's Silly Chili Grilly is modernizing, trying out new flavor profiles and offering some lighter options. Let me know if you ever need any more recommendations. I've been around the whole ship like a cake frosting. So I know what's what when it comes
Wait,
to
what?
food.
What kind of expression is that? I've been around the whole ship like a cake frosting? What is... Let's make sure I can't break into this place and go skiing. Well, I guess I'll go help the fish. Maybe the plot will finally happen. Lab district.
Destination determined. Now, relax with all water.
Yeah, on the subject of internet service providers making that into a public utility, you will definitely always find all corporations actively blocking anything that helps people. That's definitely the world we live in. Going back to the earlier conversation topic of not wanting to live in America. Other places certainly have problems similar to that as well. America's in it pretty bad right now. Hey, tell me what you think of this random idea I had this week. I don't think it's anything, but I feel like it might be the core to something that's something. I was wondering if, like, I could have, like, the chatbot set, like, a current topic of conversation. So if, like, someone's just joining the stream, they could do, like, ! Conversation or topic or something. And then, like, you know, let people know what we've been talking about. And then, like, you could spend channel points to, like, update that in some way that I think is technically possible to do, but I don't immediately know how to do. And so then you could, like, raise a conversation topic or something. I don't think it's something by itself, but I feel like there's an interesting idea in there. Fish. Fish.
Hi, Fishy. I've got something for that temperature of yours.
I mean, I'm sure you could make a topic thing happen. The
situation
question
you're
is, like, could you link it to channel points? Which I
Let's hope
think
these
you
do the
could do,
trick.
but I'm not actually specifically
Might be
sure
an
how to do it
alien,
off the
but
top of my
how
head.
different can you be? Can't be
Not
as
really
different
thinking
as
it through,
being
though.
sunny.
God, he's
At
so
least
hung
I
up on
managed
this
to
one.
ask her a question or two this time.
God, these
And I don't
conversations
think
are
she
the
suspects that
worst.
you're anything more than a strange experiment of Cyrus's that I've somehow got involved.
I feel like Harold Halibut is a mirror to, like, the
fact that she
things
doesn't
I
trust
hate
me to do
most about
anything too
myself.
exciting has come in handy for once. I'll check on you soon, pal.
Why does he call this thing a fish when it clearly isn't one? I mean, he got it out of the water, kind of. I don't know. He's also an idiot. Hey, Harold, Bridget here. There's a little something I don't quite have the energy for that I'm positive you could help me with, if you catch my drift. I honest to God, don't know what her drift is. I have no idea. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said, Neko. That I'm nothing like Harold Halibut. I wish that was entirely true. Him, like, having this extremely sad conversation with no one about a woman who, like, clearly doesn't, like, care about him. I'm like, nah, that's me. At the very least, that was me, like, 12 years ago. Now I'm a different kind of sad. All comes out in the wash. I don't understand what she was implying.
Journey commencing.
On a similar note, those lamp lighters and fish with signs are too vague.
Thank
I
you
want to
for
reveal it,
traveling with
but
all water.
it seems so silly given the scale. I mean, like, there's been some implication that, like, some rogue group is, like, giving the fish signs or something that came up early on. Oh, what are you doing here?
I'm sure you two will figure it out together. Play nice. Ah, Harold, what are you doing here?
This is
just walking by.
You've never been boring, Vasco. You're sad in relatable human ways. Harold is just sad. That's also very kind to say that anything I do is human-like. I didn't pay attention to that, but I don't think it mattered.
Thanks for swinging by, Harold. You remember the drill?
Yep. What's the test we're doing this time?
It's basically the same procedure as last time, but we're adding 2 new variables that Cyrus suggested, in the hopes they'll have a positive influence on the bacteria's energy output.
Great. What were Cyrus's variables?
Playing music to them and giving them some sugar. Before you say anything...
Give me some sugar. I am your neighbor.
Cyrus has measured both as having positive effects on
it's
his
not quite
herbs,
the lyric,
so
but it's close
why
enough.
not, eh?
This bacteria's lucky to get so many treats.
Yes, well, I'm not sure they have much awareness of enjoyment, but fingers crossed. Oh, before I forget,
Do you think that Harold Halibut is sad in a way that's relatable to bacteria because it's not relatable to humans?
Okay, start preparing everything like last time.
Still
we'll
the
start
red
with the sugar
ones?
test. Chop it, coat it, and then put some sugar on it. I'll let you know once I'm ready.
Last time she got mad when I didn't wait for her. Am I really still waiting for her? It's a fair point. Neko says, absolutely not. Hugh Bliss is a delight. Completely unlike Harold Halibut, although he is space bacteria. Shiki says, Harold Halibut is basically me, but I have at least 1 or 2 friends. I don't believe that you're a Harold Halibut, Jakey. I feel like I've seen too much personality from you in chat here and in my sister's stream to think that you're a Harold Halibut. However, I refuse to think well of myself because I have some deficiency I've never been able to sort through. So she's okay, last time she like made me redo like a whole section of this thing because I didn't wait for her word, and this time she specifically was like, I'll tell you when I'm ready. And now, like, at least a minute and some change has passed. She hasn't said anything. She gonna get mad if I stop it? In person, people think I'm weird. I mean, like, same, Jakey, for sure.
Nice one. Now, on to the next
See,
step.
I was supposed to do that, and she didn't tell me, even though she told me she was gonna tell me. No, chat. Don't Spartacus Harold Halibut. Nobody wants that.
Now. Great. Time to coat the sample.
With the fart tube?
Now the sugar. Great. Now for the next one, this time with music.
That was just a watermelon. Oh man, I saw this really unsettling...
Okay,
it was
great.
like a
On to the
TikTok
next
video?
step.
Where like someone like essentially like hollowed out a watermelon, then like mixed up like a gelatin mix, and then like filled the hollowed out watermelon with
Time
like
to coat the sample.
like fruit that isn't watermelon in like a floating gelatin mix, and then like refrigerated it, and then cut it into like watermelon slices of like gelatin and wrong fruit. And I'm like, this has to be some kind of crime against nature.
Now turn the music on.
It's like some weird like fruit turducken.
I did the thing.
Knew I could count on you, Harold.
And he tried to
We're
make
all
a joke
done.
and it didn't work.
For now. Join me back in the control room and let's have a look at the results.
I hope when she processes the results, the entire ship explodes. Does that make me the villain?
Okay, are we all done?
Yes, thank you so much, Harold. I mean, neither classical music or sugar or talking softly to the bacteria per Cyrus's plant-based advice helped its mitosis ratio, but it still helped me narrow down a few variables and factors.
Ah, good. Glad I could help.
You know, Harry, you've helped me a lot recently. Let me treat you to dinner.
Ah, it's okay. I just try to be helpful.
No, I insist. How about some nice fusion food at that new place?
What kind of fusion?
It would be nice
It's
to
relevant.
eat somewhere other than the fish hut for once.
Okay, it's settled.
I haven't even
I'll
seen
meet
the
you there
fish
tomorrow
hut.
evening. I'll ping you an exact time later.
Great. Thanks,
Is her
Bridget.
husband gonna beat us
See
up
you
because
then.
he assumes that we're on a date or something? I wish to ask, what would she do if we weren't here? I don't know, man. Oh, this day is over, apparently.
Ah, Harold. Just the man I wanted to see.
Oh, thanks. Always nice to see you too, Sai.
No, I wanted to
nice
exploit
because
you,
you've got
probably.
a solution to fix the 3D printer at last.
Oh, hey,
but I
it's
thought-
Slippy.
3D printer problems, eh? Let's slip by and take a look.
Oh, if you're sure, Slippy.
What a
I'd
bizarre
be
conversation.
Shocked if a man like you can't figure out what's wrong.
Quite so. I'm away with machines. They're
Why
just
was this
like
man
winter
in this
sports, you
room
know?
to begin with?
Go
That
on.
this could happen in
Well,
this fashion.
Electricity is like a skier, and it's all about helping it find the right route with the right equipment.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. Ha! I mean, yeah, sure. I guess I like machines, but they don't like me, eh? Ha ha!
Well, looks like it's working again. Thanks, Slip. We know who to call for next time.
A pointless interlude.
Say, Slip, what are you up to there?
Oh, hey, Harold. Just working on a little something that All Water Corp asked yours truly to whip up.
Is it a new ski machine?
No, it's a relaunch procedure. Although the
gonna
technology
tell
has
me about
plenty
this?
of parallels, I'm the station's foremost expert in ambient temperature manipulation and air particulate conditioning, after all. Probably the foremost expert in style, too.
So, how will it work?
In layman's terms, I'm gonna freeze the water directly under the Fedora, the buoyant displacement force of which will shoot us up to the surface and provide a convenient launch platform. Hell, we might even have some time for ice skating.
Wow, that sounds
I'm
amazing.
kind of skeptical of the science of
I'll
that,
let
but
you
at
get
least I
back to
understand
it.
the cartoon
Thanks,
principle
Harold.
of it.
Get hyped!
Get hyped. I should go. Oh. The wakeboard is kind of funny. Space! Aircon! Water! By your powers combined, I am Captain whatever planet we're on. Captain whatever planet we're on. He's our hero. It's weird how inconsistent like the length of the days are. Like if you don't go and read the letter, you basically just do that one menial task and go straight to bed. Well, two. You have to get the solution, talk to Sunny or whatever. Lab district.
Water. Moving people every day.
Shouldn't this be in a ship-wide address? I don't think Slippy has gotten like approval to be like the one true startup solution. I think he's like trying to pitch them on it and he's working through the details. That's what I picked up on the thing we overheard in the air conditioning last time, coupled with whatever he's doing. But then again, the ship does have a history of like not making sense of when they make public announcements.
Get home safe.
Echo says, I've noticed that the network used to get around only ever sends you down. You did notice that. Another thing in this game that definitely makes a lot of sense.
How are you holding up, champ? Ah, same old, you say?
And then they kiss.
Well, hang in there. Anyway, good night. I'll be back to check on you in the morning. Don't go anywhere before then.
Is that dramatic irony that it will definitely get up and go before then?
What a day. Poor fishy.
It's so
They'll
depressing to
pull
me
through
that he
though,
just says
I
that
know
every
it.
day.
But does Sunny suspect? Probably not. She's too wrapped up in her own world and whatever crazy new idea she's reading about next.
I love that all indications are that, like, Harold finds her, like, base human level of interest in things happening as her being, like, some incredible busybody beyond human tolerance. I guess what did this Technicolor giraffe fish ever do to deserve being stuck in a room listening to Harold and his problems? War criminal, actually, believe it or not. Past post. What? What am I looking at? Like a doodle of dinner? Oh no, it's putting sugar on bacteria and then music. Okay. 87 days until what? That's such a great question, Echo. Thank you for asking. 87 days until the potential launch window to escape the prison that has become whatever planet we're on, in the ship known as the Fedora 2. Somewhere towards the end of the first stream, we found evidence that suggested we had, like, at the time, about 90 days to get everything ready to try and escape the planet so that we could avoid the atmospheric conditions that sort of crashed us, I think is more or less the implication. And yet, after several days, we have made no discernible progress towards that seemingly important goal. I do agree with your assessment, though, Nego. It definitely looks like a pepperoni pizza, and that's why I was like, is that a picture of the dinner that we're going to? But the music notes sort of led me to, like, oh, that's probably sugar, and that's the music, and that's the bacteria from yesterday. Side note, there's a trophy for beating the game in more than 15 hours? That's unbelievable. I can't tell you how many times I've made jokes about, like, slow running a game, where traditionally one speed runs a game to try and impressively race to the end of it by whatever means necessary, often exploiting glitches to, like, avoid portions of the gameplay. But, like, I'm typically very bad at games that would even remotely be in those categories. So, like, I'll often be like, yes, this is a slow run. It's the slowest ever run. I've never heard of anyone actually, like, encouraging or, like, rewarding that behavior. There's so many waiting trophies. I get the artistic message, but it seems so pointless. It's somehow fundamental to the way that the story was put together, but it just continues to feel like it's not thought through. I mean, like, back in, like, high school, when I was, like, first getting into the concept of, like, TV and movie production, like, I made some, like, real garbage, like, movies with friends on just, like, a camcorder that we had. And, like, I remember pitching, like, multiple jokes that sort of work along those lines of, like, haha, like, you know, subverting expectation and doing this thing that lasts too long. And then, like, it lasted, like, way too long. And it's like, right, this is not funny, even conceptually. If you don't mind, how do you break into the industry? Clearly I didn't do that. I, like, collect paperwork from radio stations. I mean, my impression is that, like, you get lucky or you know someone, which sounds like reductive, but, like, people I know who succeeded are typically one or the other. And, like, I feel like in this economy, especially with, like, things I've been hearing recently, I feel like that's more true than it's ever been. If I recall, you worked on Deadliest Warrior. I did as an unpaid intern. And that was from, like, a referral. Someone, like, a friend of a friend from when I first moved out here was just sort of like, oh, like, I know of this show, like, Deadliest Warrior, that could use help. And then I worked on it for months for none money. And, you know, I did briefly have a job on that, like, series of G4 TV specials, compiling a list of, at the time, the top 100 video games of all time. And guess what? Nepotism hire. I knew someone who was working at G4, and they got me a brief gig there. So, like, you can get work not being paid, or you can get work because someone helps you, or maybe you get really lucky and find some other thing. But I have seen few cases that aren't as cynical as that. So, like, I'd kind of stick with my kind of cynical sounding answer. Or ever looked into post houses? I mean, it's sort of a trick question, because, like, if you do that, then you get work as an editor. If you don't want to work as an editor, that doesn't really solve your problem. Like, I know people who went down that track, and they work as editors, and they still struggle to have consistent work, like other people in the entertainment industry. But when they do find work, they're editors. Like, honestly, if I wanted to be doing editing work, then I probably would have, like, invested more time in just learning more impressive stuff to do editing-wise for, like, the YouTube content I created that's, like, not great. But, like, I've always been more interested in, like, writing and or talent. Like, not to be conceited, but, like, essentially part of the reason that I am a streamer to whatever extent you consider this is because that I think that my sense of humor is valuable as performance to some degree. So, like, that's the thing that interests me. Biggie says, I missed G4. They didn't give the reboot enough time. That's probably true. But at the same time, I do kind of understand the arguments that G4, like, always kind of struggled to be relevant with the existence of the internet and, like, all the gaming journalism and whatnot that developed on the internet. Echo says, I think working for months as an unpaid illegal intern is illegal in the UK. Probably true. Sensible thing. What I found kind of insulting is, I mean, like, obviously, like, working for months and not getting paid sucks and is, like, bordering on, like, indentured servitude at best, to be generous. But, like, so I wouldn't say that, like, I was the most, there's probably some concise, accurate word for this, but, like, I wasn't, like, the most hustling grinder of all the people trying to make it in Hollywood. But, like, I've always had kind of, like, nasty mental health issues, and it took, like, essentially, like, a decade now of concerted effort to kind of get that under control. But, like, I did my best when I came out here to be, like, applying to, like, any kind, like, I was leaning most heavily on trying to get into, like, development jobs, because development is sort of, like, the process of, like, creating and or selecting ideas to be made into, like, shows and movies and stuff. So, like, there's a creative aspect to it, there's, like, a business aspect to it, but, like, you know, you're dealing with creative people and you have some interaction with the creative process. And, like, at low levels, a lot of that is, like, looking through people's scripts and getting a sense of, like, what is and isn't working. And, you know, like, I did stuff like coverage when I first came out here. I had a separate dedicated internship for just, like, a development house, like a really small scale development house that's made, like, I don't know, like 7 movies or something. But, like, you know, I had those 2 internships. Those both lasted kind of a while. I was also doing like, for basically like transportation money, was working with like a small sketch comedy group that was doing like independent production. And like during a lot of that time, I was like applying to those offices and you know, doing like I like put myself in for like, there's like a company that casts like extras for stuff that's just kind of like filler when you're unemployed. Never had much luck with that, but I know some friends who did. And I worked like temp jobs for a while. So like I did a lot to try and like bridge the gap and like try and like make it in the industry, but like obviously it's a competitive industry. But I mean, I moved out here like pretty shortly after like the major recession hit of the like late 2000s, and that was a pretty bad time to try and find work, just like it's a particularly bad time now in the wake of all the, you know, COVID and the strikes, and like the streaming businesses all claiming that everything is just doomsday. So like everyone's like cutting back on production, and like recently I've been hearing some like horror stories online about like the state of like Hollywood production and how like people who've like established themselves and worked in the industry for like years and years just like can't find work because there's none work. There's just like way not enough work, and it's always been competitive, but now the work just isn't there. I don't know. We sort of got a tirade there, but like that sort of answers your question, I think. I mean, like for sure don't consider myself to have broken into the industry, which is, you know, a non-trivial contributing factor to the notion of moving out of California, which is increasingly inevitable. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. Like, I appreciate the experience that I've had here. I wish that I had been able to, you know, write or find some similar niche to, like, do stuff. But, like, I've often found it frustrating, and I certainly don't think anything was there's a very honest question from Jakey about looking into editing. But, like, honestly, like, these days, if you're interested in editing, like, find, like, YouTube personalities. Like, that seems to work out a lot from what I can tell. It's not like a sure thing, but, like, that seems to be, like, what a lot of people who have interest in editing do. But, like, yeah, I've often found it frustrating that, like, people just, like, don't... Like, close friends have, like, often, like, misunderstood what my intentions are and will, like, suggest things that are unhinged, like, yeah, just like take another like unpaid internship for like an indefinite period of time and hope that one finally works out. Like, yeah, okay, sure. And how do I survive? and even at that, like, I got a considerably excessively generous amount of help from my parents during some of the early days here, trying to make ends meet, paying rent out here. When none of that stuff was working. Jakey says there's no jobs in my area for my degree right now. I believe it. I don't know what your... Like, I should, but I don't know what your degree is in, but, like, it's just a tough time for the economy. Like, I was having this conversation... I'm not sure we're going on a new day at this point. I was, like, thinking of asking if we were going to start on this day, but we went on this tirade instead. I was having this conversation with my parents last week when I visited them that, like, I'm just, like, seriously worried about the state of the economy right now. Because, like, I mean, there was, like, a trend of layoffs in the tech sector, and that bled into, like, the gaming sector. And then now it just seems to be, like, kind of everything is doing a lot of layoffs. Like, I have a friend who started a job in December, and, like, they seemed like they desperately needed help. And she got laid off like a week ago, and like came like out of the blue, and it seems like it's a job that still needs to be filled and they still can't afford it or whatever. So like, I just don't know how people are supposed to find jobs. So like, I'm like, I don't know, like I know several people. Well, basically, like I have several coworkers who had like essentially the same job that I do currently, and like they all seem to like hate it, and I'm like, the job I have now isn't glamorous, but it's like stable and reliable and flexible, and like nowadays that's like a lot. Like, it doesn't pay a ton, but like they seem to be willing to entertain me moving like very far away from California and still doing the same job in a place that like my money will go a lot further. So it's like, that's like, these days, is that not what the American dream looks like? Like, I honestly feel like I have it pretty good, which in its own way is kind of depressing, but like, the goalposts move as you get older, you know? So like, I don't know, part of it is just the fact that I'd been through some really dark times trying to struggle with that, like being very depressed while going through those things we were talking about earlier in the industry, and like just not having the tools to like deal with that, trying to do anything in the industry even harder. Like, I don't even remember the last time I actually properly like wrote something. I still think about it a lot, but like, it's just hard to find the time and like still be a productive person. But like, yeah, I mean, as like lame as it sounds, like my super dull administrative job, like it's pretty cool, right? I have an associates in library and information technology. One of my closest friends got that back when I was going to college as well. I don't actually know exactly where she works now. I don't keep in touch with her as much as I should. Can't afford it or refuses to afford it. I mean, I don't want to tell someone else's story beyond what's reasonable. They more or less expressed that they like looked at the books and decided no. And from the sounds of it, they weren't like a lot more delicate than that, which is like super bizarre to me. Yeah, you got hit by that same period, the Great Recession letters. So it was a tough time for anyone to be looking for work, but like I definitely felt like I chose poorly, like moving out to California and trying to like I really do feel like the experience I had out here was valuable at the very least, like to my development as a person, but like it was rough and it was difficult, and I definitely wouldn't have gotten through it if my parents weren't so generous. And even at that, it was a hard time. I don't think it was successful as planned, but like I feel like to some extent I've made a success out of it. Not like an incredibly impressive extent, but like, I don't know. I feel like I happen to know a lot of people who are like better off than me, and it definitely makes it seem like my life is kind of a disaster by comparison. But for one, don't do that. As general advice, don't try to evaluate your life by the metric of other people's lives. Life just doesn't work that way. But like, there's also plenty of people who are having an even rougher time. So like, I think that perspective is like one of the most valuable things that you can have. And fortunately for most people who aren't like actual sociopaths, like the inherent process of getting older does provide you some additional perspective. Now, whether you use it appropriately or you get as much from it as you can, I think that's still on you. But still, I think these things are important to keep in mind, and they're much more likely to make you happy than, you know, trying to work 6 jobs to be the next startup billionaire. Now, I'm not saying that isn't for some people, because it certainly is, and in some cases, those developments have improved or enriched the world in some way, but like America in particular, I think, has this nasty habit of like making it seem like if you're not revolutionizing the world or making like huge sums of money, that your entire life is meaningless. And you know, like the older I've gotten, the more I've been like, oh, I love my little Twitch community. Do I wish that like more people were here because I feel like I'm trying to share happiness with folks? Yeah, maybe. Would I necessarily be happy if I had a huge following? I don't know. It would, on some level, I still think it would be nice to be a full-time content creator. I feel like it would let me do more fun and creative stuff and take more risks and devote more time to things I don't have time for. But like, I don't know if it'd be better. Grass is always greener. But the streams are really important to me, and so I hope you all know that I really appreciate you being here. It says she gave up working in library years ago, did customer service for a while, and now, eventually, got into school records. That makes sense. Sort of information science adjacent. Yeah, I mean, I think at some point think right after college, my friend from high school who was in that same field did stuff like that. I think she was like working for the school records of the college that she went to, and then she was working like kind of general administrative stuff at like a hospital or other kind of like medical facility. And then I think that led her to something else that's like related, but she's like working at a much higher level now. But I don't know if that's changed. It's been a while. But yeah, you never know where you might end up. But I think a big part of it too is just appreciating that, like, finding something that keeps your life going and helps you find happiness and like hopefully builds meaningful relationships with others isn't a failure. Like, there are many ways that you can succeed at life. And you hear plenty of stories about people spending their whole lives trying to find money or things along those lines and like being miserable. So like, I'm not saying that money doesn't matter at all, but like, I don't think it's healthy for anyone to focus all of their time or attention on money. And I wish that people were more open and honest about that, because I feel like we should normalize like humanity being important. I feel like in a lot of ways that would help everyone, but you know, call me old fashioned. But it says her dad always says your career chooses you. That's interesting. That's interesting. I think that's true for a lot of people. I wonder if I would say that this career chose me. In a sense, I would. I probably have mentioned this on stream before, that the current job I have, I was like their second choice. This is a recurring theme in my life. Not that I have a complex or anything, don't worry about it. But like, I'll spare you the details that I'm slightly bitter about, even though they're completely inconsequential now. But they, you know, they interviewed multiple people, and there was someone else that they liked better for the position, and she never showed up for work. She had like a start date. They had talked about it. As I understand it, my coworkers like made not like a huge party, but like a little to do. They like wrote a fun message on the board for the person because they knew her name, and they like did something else. They put up some decorations or something. Never showed up. Never showed up and never called them and never told them anything. I think after the fact, eventually my current boss managed to like get in touch with her, and like she was like, "Oh yeah, I just found something else," and like didn't say anything. Like, that's unhinged. I cannot imagine doing that. So like, yeah, I mean, like, I was at the time I was pretty excited because like I had been, I mean, at the time that I interviewed for this job, I had been laid off from my last job in like September? No, August of 2018? Yeah, something like that. Something like early fall or late summer of 2018. I spent a month working at a Fortune 500 company. I was really excited about it because they actually seemed to understand the value of my skills, and it was like a big company. I'm like, oh, like now I'm like doing it. I'm being like an adult and having a real job and whatever. Yeah, long story short, day like 29 of working at that job, I was like crying in a toilet stall, calling my mom on lunch every day, talking about how miserable I was. So I had to struggle to get back on unemployment. And then they started interviewing me like right before like the holidays. And I was concerned that they would want me to start like the week of Christmas or something. Because I wouldn't have any like time off or flexibility to like have a Christmas. And I was like, I mean, if I got to do it, I will. But like, I would like for that not to happen. But they ended up hiring that other girl. And then she didn't show up, but because of the timing, they didn't have me start until like a couple weeks into New Year, which is exactly what I would have wanted. So it worked out pretty well for me in the end. So yeah, maybe that's the job choosing me. I don't know. I guess at least that woman didn't die. That would have been my guess. Yeah, I've definitely, I mean, I'll tell you what, working my job, I've had plenty of circumstances where it's like, man, this person's being so rude, not answering my emails about radio paperwork. And then like after spending like 2.5 weeks trying to like contact anyone, like I have to go through like 5 intermediary contacts and like leave a voicemail with like something that doesn't sound like it's a business phone line at all. And then I'll get some weird email being like, that person died in a horrible accident. I'm like, oh, well, I mean, I'm sorry for your loss, but also you should like run your business. I don't know how to respond to that. Tomashin says, I had someone who was let go from my job for doing literally that. Crying in a toilet stall? That's kind of messed up if true. I haven't actually seen Agritsuko. One of my other high school friends recommended it highly the last time I talked to them, which was probably like 6 years ago now. Listen, I never said I was good at maintaining relationships. I'm definitely a few close friendships, not many friendships kind of guy. Hey, Castle. No need to apologize. We ended up having some real talk, so we kind of cut the gaming a little short. We probably only played the game for like 2.5 hours, which maybe is like a sensible run of Harold Halibut. It's a little bit of a challenge to stay engaged with. I don't know. Like, how do you all feel about Harold Halibut? I think I'm still roughly where I was at the end of last week, which was like, at that time, some people were like, yeah, I'm definitely somewhat interested. But like for me, after thinking about it since the last stream, it's like, I kind of just want to get the Harold Halibut experience. I don't think that I'm going to come away from this suddenly thinking it's like a great game. Like it clearly just like a philosophical approach to the way this game was put together that I don't agree with. I don't see that changing dramatically, but like, I'm kind of just like interested to see what this weird thing is. The game get better or worse? Like a little better, I think. I mean, not like a ton better, but like some interesting stuff happened. I kind of enjoyed the absurdity of the side quest to just like talk to one guy 4 times in the same day and then have him be like, thanks for fixing my life. Neko says, I felt the desire to bang my head against the wall whenever I had to listen to Harold Halibut. Right, but how do you feel about the game? Like, that's just like a normal response, I think. It's true. The company that I was working for did turn out to be owned and operated by Scientologists. That's true. Believe it or not, that wasn't even my biggest problem with them. Like, that wasn't great, but that definitely wasn't close to my biggest problem with them. So take that for what that's worth. But yeah, like they basically had like a standardized test for their applicants, and like, you know that I will never speak highly of myself if it's not due. But when I like turn that stuff in, like it was like something out of a movie where like all of a sudden people like look at the results and be like whisper dramatically to each other and then like look over at me and then look back at each other. And then like they had like the CEO of the company like have a meeting with me and be like, we think you're very valuable. And then the way they operated their business was like absolutely unhinged and untenable, and I really hated it like a lot. But like, I don't know, I for one appreciate a standardized test as an entry to a job, partially because I think that the existing process for hiring people is ludicrous, is like so nonsensical, and providing quantifiable data seems practical on some level, and also I happen to have a skill for standardized tests and not a lot else. That's entirely fair, Echo. Hard for you to get a feel for what it's about, and uncomfortable listening to a bunch of weird characters talk at him. I mean, I honestly don't think Harold Halibut is a terrible game. I do think it, from what we've seen of it, falls short of what I expect their goals were. But I think a part of that is that I genuinely think that they just approached it in a super weird way. Oh, that's interesting. Letters applied to be a music teacher at what turned out to be a Scientology elementary school. I didn't even know they had those. Wasn't too upset when they didn't call you back. I understand that, yeah. Definitely understand that. But yeah, I mean, like you said before, you never know where life will take you. And all sorts of weird experiences living here in California. But I honestly, like, I'm the type of person who believes in signs of, like, if you, like, even though this probably sounds a little uncharacteristic of the way I normally talk about stuff, like, I really do feel like if you sort of, like, are open-minded and get a sense of how the universe communicates intent to you, like, the universe will help you make difficult decisions and guide you in the right direction. And, like, lately I just feel like there's been nothing but signs that, like, we're on our last push here in California, and it's time to move, get along, time to hit the old dusty trail, as it were. Yeah, I often find myself feeling things like that, Jakey. I want Harold Halibut 2, but with all the problems fixed. And that's sort of, when I say that, like, I feel like Harold Halibut may be a future cornerstone, I think I more or less said this before, but, like, what I mean by that is largely that, like, I feel like this is the sort of game that other games may point to in the future of, like, Harold Halibut, but essentially we did it correctly. Like, we took the cool idea of Harold Halibut, but, like, it's actually a story and not some confusing commentary on human existence or something. Do you know where you might go? Any state in mind? Yeah, sure. I mean, I was putting off talking about it a little bit because some of the details were uncertain, and we're still not locked in per se, but it's pretty much narrowed down. The impetus behind it is that my parents are reaching an age where they're looking to retire properly, and after exploring various options of places that would be affordable for them in retirement, there's a good chance that Florida is the next destination for me. Certainly, I will not exactly preface, since I've already said that bit, but, like, I am aware there are many things not ideal about being in Florida. But I do feel better about my parents having at least something resembling a support system moving into retirement, as both of my siblings have also migrated to the West Coast. So for them to be alone there would be not ideal. And, you know, as I sort of implied earlier, there are other benefits, financial being one of them. And also there's some chance that, probably with a non-trivial amount of assistance from my parents that they have offered, that with some of the proceeds from selling California real estate, that I might actually be able to have a home of my own, which would be nice, and then I wouldn't have my horrible landlady doing all the things wrong all the time. Florida, home of all those unhinged news stories? The very same, Neko. Florida also has Wawas now? I didn't know that. I haven't been to a Wawa's in like 1,000 years. They had them in Pennsylvania where I grew up, but I didn't go there very often at the time. Letters to someone younger than Gen X owning a home? Blasphemy. Yeah, when I alluded earlier to, like, this being the American dream, is like, the math looks like I can sort of afford a mortgage payment over there for the insane rent that I'm paying here. And that sounds cool. So, like, this very ostensibly mediocre job that I find, like, reliable and flexible, which are two great things, allowing me to pay for a home, like, that's, like, I feel like I'm doing pretty good for me. And be the next Florida man way ahead of you. You don't see what I'm doing when I'm not streaming. I mean, I don't know what reform in this country would look like for housing to be affordable, but, like, I hope that it improves for all our sake. Doesn't seem like we're going in a great direction. Yeah, my mom has been very steadfast that we will manage to find a home that isn't 80 degrees all the time. And I remain skeptical, but I think that's from a decade of experience living in this miserable, humid crisper that I call an apartment. Do I wrestle alligators? Normally, I lure them to do my bidding by hitting fish with a golf club. You know that being born in or living in Florida is automatic placement in the bad place? Yeah, that sounds correct. I don't remember why I was thinking about it today, but I was having the thought that I feel like Chidi from The Good Place is, to me, one of the single most relatable fictional characters of all time. And I'm so impressed that they wrote that character because I don't know if other people actually find that relatable because no one ever talks about it. So, like, having a character like that on television was, like, so revolutionary to me. Probably doesn't seem like it, but to me, I was like, dang, son. Is the bad place America? Yeah, we're already here. No, I'm assuming that's a sincere question, Neko. There's a TV show called The Good Place, which is about, like, what happens to a certain group of people in the afterlife, and that's sort of contrasted against The Bad Place. You can draw your own conclusions as to what the good and bad place are. You're probably correct. Florida is humid. Florida is definitely humid. I mean, California's still not humid, but it has been considerably more humid over the past few years than it had been when I first moved here. Couple that with the fact that just, like, existing in this apartment is barely livable. Hopefully some central air solution out there will be, like, I don't know, palatable. I mean, I've spent time in Florida because my family used to vacation to Disney World most years. So I'm sort of familiar with its weird climate of, like, sunny most of the day at roughly 4 o'clock every day, thunderstorming for an indeterminate period of time. Hunter says, if you relate to highly anxious characters, a decent movie just came out called Turtles All the Way Down. I haven't heard of that, but that immediately sounds like the sort of thing I'm interested in. It sounds vaguely like the type of philosophical discussion you would get from, like, a Zero Escape game. Anything that's like that, I'm immediately intrigued by. Even if it ends up not being like that, I'm immediately like, Ian, tell me about the Chinese room. But yeah, I mean, certainly one thing I'm excited about, at least in theory, is that having a home would mean that I could have, like, an actual dedicated space for streaming, and that the camera wouldn't be sitting on top of the TV in my living room, and then I film most of the living room with streaming equipment, and cover my couch and a high percentage of the stuffed animals that I own for decoration, and don't really use most of my apartment. Now, this is self-imposed and psychotic, but it is a function of the extremely limited amount of space I have to live in. That would be some amount addressed by having an additional room in a home of some description. So it's an exciting idea in theory. Again, I understand that not all things about Florida are perfect. One thing that is really nice and basic that's sort of been addressed and hasn't been spoken already is just the fact that because the company I work for functions on a national level and they don't seem to care where I work because I work fully remotely, they're totally fine with the move, and I don't have to, like, find a new place to work, which would suck. I hate doing that. Also true that I will live closer to nearly all of my close friends. Worth noting, though, I mentioned at some points in the last few months that a friend of mine who had, like, moved to another country during the pandemic came back to Los Angeles when his wife's job insisted that she stop working remotely. We still have not managed to see each other one time. He got back in, like, October. Granted, they have a very young daughter now, so yeah, fully remote rules. Big fan. Big fan. It's literally full remote in all states, but requires you to be on site once per quarter. Full remote in literal quotes. I mean, assuming that's like 1 time per quarter, that's still like pretty good. It's actually kind of funny. Like, I hadn't realized how much the remote work situation had changed the landscape of my department until there was like a holiday party late last year, and some of my coworkers who had like left the company were like, "Oh, like you should go and like see what everyone's up to." And I'm like, "Why would I don't like talking to people? Why would I go talk to the people who I wasn't friends with when we were working in the office? Like, why would I go to like a social event I don't want to go to like learn about people like that like aren't my friends? Like, why would I do that for like your gossip or whatever?" So like, I obviously didn't do that because I hate people and going places. But then I found out after the fact, because they had hired a new worker around that time who I've spoken to since, that she and my boss are the only people in our entire department who went to that like company Christmas party. And she had just been hired, so she didn't know anybody. So that was weird. And also like, apparently like 2 other people in my department had like moved out of state. And I just didn't even know because it doesn't affect me for that to be true. So it doesn't affect them for me to move, which is great. Love that. Anyway, I feel like I've exhausted the immediate train of thought we've ridden for like 45 minutes. Anyone have any other questions before we get around to this Squirtle business? From the sounds of it, I think we're probably on board for another Harold Halibut next week, but it is worth mentioning that 2 weeks from today, I'm going to see Sophie Ellis-Bextor in concert, which is one of the signs from the universe that I'm done here, because all of the musical artists I've ever wanted to see who've never come to America have all come to like California in the span of like 6 months. And it's unbelievable. And it's very exciting to me. Even Kylie Minogue's here. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to make that work. That timing doesn't quite work. But I got to see Confidence Man, S Club 7, and now Sophie Ellis-Bextor. And I'm super excited. But as a result of that concert, which is literally on the Friday from 2 weeks from now, I will not be streaming that Friday, certainly. I have yet to determine what I'm doing about the next day. I'll give it a shot. I'll keep you posted. I thought I'd mention that, Mom, about the Christmas party. I found that out when doing that weird trading that I'm still kind of doing, but not really, because she's mostly self-sufficient at this point. But much like the person she's replacing, she will often reach out with like a random question. And for some reason, everyone likes to learn from me instead of the actual person who's tasked with doing that, but I take that as a compliment. It's fine. I do agree with you, Letters, that remote work might not be for everyone. I do think that I don't think it's for all employers or employees, but I do think that more employers have to like wrap their head around the fact that it just makes more sense. I mean, I was genuinely quite surprised when my company, like, mid first year of COVID, was just sort of like, you know what? We're gonna sell off all our office space in California. It's like, we don't even like know what's happening with this whole pandemic situation. And they're like, yeah, but like, it's just cheaper. It's good business. And like, they're not wrong. They were pretty assertive about it. I'm just surprised they pulled the trigger on that. But they haven't looked back. A ton of other companies have, and mine is not. I think we still somehow technically have the ability to use that as our mailing address, which is confusing to me, but weirder things have happened. Definitely cheaper not to have an office space. I'm surprised that more companies don't understand that or whatever. Yeah, I know it's reverted. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It's just genuinely so backwards in my mind. Yeah, I honestly think they were like ahead of the curve. They probably they cashed out on that at a good time, but like at the time it seemed insane. But like, nah, I mean, we're just serious. Like at that point, it still seemed like remote work was like a temporary solution to a temporary problem. And now we're here, and it's not, but at the same time, companies are trying to force everyone back into the Stone Age. Whatever. I saw a Squirtle guess somewhere in there. Where did it go? Perfect Benjamin. Yeah, we should take another close look at Benjamin Fox, for those of you who may not have seen him introduced. Yeah, there's a lot of companies that do that, letters. I don't get that at all. You only have to come in 2 days a week. You're welcome for this incredible generosity. What's funny is we technically have another office space that's like sort of equidistant from where I live to where I worked before. It's more of like there's like a performance space there, and I think there's more like recording stuff there than our office had, because again, radio. But we did have some of that at the office I worked at. But like there is an office space over there, and I know that my bosses were like brought in for some meeting there, and they're like, they just keep emphasizing that you can come in if you want. And I've thought about it, and I just don't want to. Timothy says, honestly, this 45-minute convo was better than 2 hours of Harold Halibut. I don't know if you mean that as better than the 2 hours we played, or than doing an additional 2 hours that would have taken us to like, 11 o'clock or something. But either way, probably fair. And yet, I think we all intend to do some more Harold Halibut, huh? It's more for execs still like to meet clients in person. See, that's the thing. I think like sales is a field where like in-person meetings still make sense in certain like arenas. Like not all sales kind of work that way, but like you kind of want a personal connection there. And there are plenty of things that work like that, or like that do require people to be like working in tandem in a physical space. But like there's so many jobs that aren't like that, and it's so weird how many people just like insist like, no, we have to justify the dinosaur way of thinking. I'm sure the meteor is nothing. It's not, I don't think it's technically like part of the NBC studio space. I mean, it's like right adjacent to it, but I don't think they're actually related other than geographically. Delicious says his parents still try to say if you were in the office, then you could just ask people. That's along the lines of things that have frustrated me with people trying to give me like career advice. Career advice in a vacuum is like fine, but like career advice from people who like don't understand your career path or like know its struggles is usually more harmful than good. Like I've had some people pretty close to me just like say things that seem to like completely unhinged to me and be like, and you genuinely think that's like for real advice, huh? Is that thing they were doing, Demolition? People were Zoom calling each other like while all in the office? That's insane. Yeah, I mean it's like right next to it, but like I think they're just like distinct buildings. They're just like neighbors. They were roommates. All right, I think I'm going to wrap this up. Squirtle guesses, everyone. Somewhere on this couch behind me are hidden some number of Squirtles. From 1 to however many Squirtles I have, which is like 9 or something. It's actually funny to me. I got one of those like flashback alerts from the photo app on my phone, and it was like, yeah, several years ago you took a photo of all your Squirtles. It was 4. I'm like, wow. I got a lot of Squirtles in the last couple of years. Anyway, if you find one of those Squirtles, it's an omen of good luck for you in the coming days. Presumably, they will provide you a valuable secret of some description. Maybe it's unsolicited career advice. Who knows? Big orange one in the front next to Evie. Dinosaur or lobster? Under the narwhal. Lobster. Got it. Okay. Any other guesses? Let's look at a little juice apple. Sea monster. Sea monster. Good guess. All right, I'm gonna consider those our guesses. Dinosaur, good guess. All right, let's go Squirtle hunting. Where to start? Narwhal is sort of a signature of the channel. Let's start there. This spark, we haven't gotten a good look at her lately. She's got this really subtle, like, rainbow pattern. She's very cute. Back there, behind Teddy Ursa. Don't fall over, please. Please don't fall over. It's Sonic the Hedgehog. Dinosaur. Love this one. Absolutely in love with this dinosaur. If you haven't seen it before, this is a Triceratops that's happy about having a heart-shaped pizza covered in heart-shaped pepperonis. This thing is basically the representation of my soul. It's just so perfect. Down there we have another narwhal. This one more gentlemanly with its fanciful monocle and large stately mustache. The pizza is so nice. Pizza's almost always nice. I love pizza, and I'm like not discerning when it comes to pizza. I love pizza so much that I also like pizza other people consider bad. I just like pizza. What else? So Neko had guessed maybe Benjamin Fox was hiding a Squirtle. This is Benjamin. If you've never played the game Little Misfortune, that's what this guy is from. That game is excellent. I highly recommend it. If you want like a short form narrative game that has like a similar walking simulator structure to this game, but like is really good and is short and can't stress this enough, is really good. Little Misfortune is excellent. Very, very good. Not hiding anything today, just hanging out with our angry octopus. Let's see. We had a lobster.
Forever.
They'll prop each other up. There's a Squirtle over there by Lorenzo the lobster. He's like my chubbiest Squirtle. And there's also a sea monster guess underneath our Pusheen narwhal. We find another Squirtle. And for those not in the know, the Yikes Forever is a quote from that game. It will come up a lot, and you will enjoy it every time, because you will enjoy that game. It's very, very good. Anyway, congrats, we found some Squirtles. Hooray! Hooray! Hooray for you! Also, we got to enjoy Benjamin Fox and some pizza. We had a great time, didn't we? It was really nice to have some real talk. It's been a minute since we've done that. But yeah, we'll be back with some Quern tomorrow. Quern Undying Thoughts is an extremely difficult puzzle game that hates me personally for existing. And I've mostly been enjoying it. I have a really complicated relationship with that game, but we're making progress. I won't say good progress, but we're making progress. At the end of the last stream when we played it, we finally unlocked this big spooky tower that I think will be important to the plot, or maybe it won't matter at all. That's also a thing that happens a lot in Quern. Beautiful game. Really clever homage to Myst, except that the puzzles they really hate you and they don't want you to solve them. And they're just so mad at you. I can't stress that enough. You should throw your glitter everywhere for the satisfying ending. Ah, yes. Very yes. Yeah, I think that's going to do it for today. So, again, reminder, we'll be back with Harold Halibut next week. Man, time this month is really throwing me off. Yeah, next week we're good for both Harold Halibut, and I don't think we're finishing Quern tomorrow, so that'll probably be Friday and Saturday of next week. The following week, we won't be playing on Friday, May the 31st. There's a chance we'll play on June the 1st. Probably Quern, if I had to stake a guess, but I'm not sure yet we're doing that. So, you know, homage that nearly misses the point. That's kind of how I feel. You could quote that blurb and put it on the box. So yeah, we got that stuff. Quern is 2 to 4 streams go depending on pacing. Now, Demolition, you've seen me play Quern. You know that 4 is not an adequate upper bound. It's like 2 to infinity. I have gotten stuck on more not puzzles than I have on puzzles. The game is full of spite. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks everybody for being here. Thanks for being you, and I hope to see you again soon. I know we talked about a couple heavy things, and I hope that people find whatever opportunities and things they need. Best of luck to those traveling and whatnot. We'll be back next week. We'll be back tomorrow with Quern if you're free. Same time, 6 p.m. Pacific. In the meantime, take care of yourselves and remember that you are Clawsome.